This is the SML podcast 12th anniversary episode. Since our normal voiceover guy managed to catch pneumonia and hasn't he been able to do any recordings because he sounds like Peter Falk trying to gargle rocks.
Cut, George. Robot voices, gotta cut them. Can't afford them. Not in this economy.
I spent hours programming this, you vomit stain.
Sorry, all gotta go.
Well, f*** you too, faddy. And now, on with the f***ing shit show. Cue the intro music.
What's up? Oh, goddamn.
Yeah. Leave it.
Keep that. What's up, everybody? It's the SML podcast, and we are back. It's been a long winter hibernation period, but we're back, and it's our 12th anniversary show, and it's a MAGFest wrap-up show.
Wow,
So
is it 12? Holy
like
smokes.
everything all together. Yeah, George was going to whip up a proper intro for the show, but he got really, really sick and lost his voice.
Oh, no.
So he busted out like some computer emulator and like used an Amiga voice chip to create that intro.
Nice.
Fun fact, the original version was over 2.5 minutes long.
Was it
I
really?
want to hear that
Yes.
really badly.
Wait, who did that?
No,
I know
you
who did
don't
that.
want to hear the original version.
Oh, yes, I do. That sounds
I think it's time.
fantastic.
I think it's time to open the door to the original.
Maybe I'll share it online, but I'm not playing it on the show. It is literally 2 minutes and like 40 seconds of computer voice speech. And after the first 15, it just all meshes together and you can't understand anything.
That sounds perfect. Especially
Also
for our
plans like
show.
play
How
it.
much of a clusterfuck this is, that yes,
Release the
that
cut.
should be our opening.
No, that's not going to be
Release the Snyder cut. Do it.
fine. I'll play it at the end of the show.
Yes.
You're all
All
There
right.
we go.
Yeah.
You are all awful.
So you've all learned a
Yeah.
valuable lesson. If you want something and you don't get it, just keep complaining until you get what you want.
Oh, I thought the lesson was
And then
peer
keep
pressure
complaining
always
anyway.
works.
That is very true. Just continue the complaints. It's all good.
Yeah, no reason to stop.
The real lesson is if you don't want anything mentioned on the show, I shouldn't mention it. And then it'll never happen on
Yeah.
the show.
That's correct.
Basically.
That's the truth.
Oh, it is so hard to listen to. Ashley tried listening to it. After maybe 5-10 seconds, she's just like, what is this? And why are you playing it? Like, it's George's intro. And she's like, are you sure you want to put this on the show? Like that line, I think we found the line of what's too much for this show.
All right.
I smell a remix challenge.
I
Yeah,
don't
there you
think
go.
there is a
About
line
After
for
Dark,
too
too.
much for the show because I'm on the show.
Grant, I'll send
If
it to
there
you
was a
if you
line, it
want to
would've
throw
been
music
funny.
behind it.
I've done worse.
You
Let's go.
have.
Make it a techno rave music.
Oh, that'd be
He's
sick.
done. Consider it done. That's the easiest kind. Thank you
There
for
we
that.
go.
Thank you for not asking for jazz. Let's 4 to the floor it.
Death
I'm
metal.
ready. Death metal. Yes, blast beats. Let's go.
All right, I'll get you that
These also
file
too
later
easy. Give
then.
him a hard one.
So we've got Bri here, Aki's here, Andy's here, Pernell's here, Chris is here, we've got Scott here, and Grant's here. How's everyone doing?
Great.
Yeah.
Super.
A little bit of the
Everybody, it's great.
Yeah, who
That's
got
what I
sick?
wanted.
Did anybody pick up the crud that went?
Hey,
I
That's here.
avoided it for a decade, and I finally caught up with me.
You succumbed.
No.
I'm getting crud right now.
I wasn't
got
there
crud
long
over
enough, I guess.
Christmas.
I am
I'm
crud free, but
never
also
sick.
fun free. So
That's impossible. Impossible.
I did not get
Unbelievable.
con crud this year, thankfully. Ian did. He said he got nailed pretty bad when he got home. So I don't know how he got it, but I didn't.
Yeah, Adam
what
got
a great
it.
way to get con crud, then. Lucky guy.
Yeah, my brother got it real bad, and I spent basically the whole weekend with him, so I don't know what happened. I took all the vitamins. Oh yeah, and Satan. That also helped. Keep me
Took
healthy.
vitamin Satan?
Vitamin S, baby.
Expensive.
Pray to Satan.
Yep. So I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Great.
Got lucky.
Playing MAGFest helps you get the good. Let me stop.
Yeah.
Of course,
Let's
Joe
talk
wants
about
the
how
vitamin D.
was everyone's MAGFest. Half of us went. The other half can just like sit on the sidelines and listen to us cool kids talk for a little bit. But
I will say, I need to say
works.
that I thought about Chris. I probably thought about Chris like every 3 hours this past that weekend of Mag. He's my
Aw, how
he's my gimmick boy, and there was a lot of gimmick at this event. So
It sure was. Yeah, I was kind of not aware of how much gimmick there was going to be. And I was
wasn't-
like, man,
I wasn't-
planned on.
I wasn't
I
originally.
wasn't even expecting it.
So, but yeah,
Thought
you were.
the theme was
you missed.
Sonic.
I stumbled across it. Like my friend just wanted to go to a panel with a good composer, and I walked. I was like, "Oh, it's that gimmick guy."
It's the gimmick
Yeah,
guy.
he's great. So how was it working with Masashi Kageyama?
It was really cool. For those who don't know, he came as a guest there, guest from Japan. It's his first time ever outside of Japan, period. And he came to MAGFest. He learned that people liked his music over the years. You know, he heard Cheap Dino's early covers of his stuff. He found the gimmick band. He just sort of became aware that people knew. It's just like it is with all these Japanese composers. They don't know that people love their music. Because it was just a hired, you know, their names aren't even in the credits of these games. It's just, it was a hired, you know, it was a job, and they move on to the next job. And he was so sweet and so appreciative, and it was pretty easy, I'd say. Like, he plays sax very well. We didn't know until the day of the show how good his sax skills were, but we were like, it doesn't really matter if he does great or not, as long as he has fun. So, but it turns out he's a jazz master. So we got to play a couple songs. Super Strikers got to have him up for a few songs on stage, and it was very cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was really neat.
That is awesome. Yeah, I'm very impressed.
So that's not something you do like every year, right? So I'm not gonna expect that next year too.
No, I mean,
amazing composer that's going to show up.
I mean, it does. It happens more frequently with the Western composers. I mean, David Wise has played, Alexander Brandon's played. Like, they have had other ones from Japan. Yuzo Koshiro came and did a DJ set.
Yeah, I remember
played
that.
some Streets of Rage for people. Yeah, you were there for that. So it's happened over the years, but they don't get one from out of the country every year. It's just sort of a if they can and you know it works out, they'll have someone in. But you know, MAG appeals to the composers too. It's not just a fan con. You know, people come and like to play music.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
it was cool to see.
Yeah, Andy, it was your first MAGFest. What did you think of it?
I thought it was wild. I've been talking about it to multiple people like over the last week or so, you know, and just like sharing stories and things. I mean, I've been at kind of like conventions before, you know. Nothing to this like measure though. I went to TwitchCon and I went to like PAX West, but I didn't stay really at either of those. So this was awesome. I mean, like I was kind of like blown away a little bit. You know, I felt like most of the time I was just kind of like taking everything in and trying to be like see where everybody's kind of personalities are and see like what the vibe is, you know, and be like kind of calm and calculating, you know. It was fun though. There were so many things, so many people, so many panels, so many games too. I'm sad I got to see Pernell, but I didn't actually get to like talk to him in person too.
Wait, where did you see me?
You're at the panel,
I saw you
right?
at the panel, dude. I was sitting right in the front.
Oh, Megan, she just walked up and spoke to me. I was there for a little bit afterwards.
I saw you, and then somebody came over, and I was talking to them for a second, and I like turned around, and you were gone. So I was like,
you should have been like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Pernell's right there.
Yeah, if you look in the pictures, like you know, I'm right in the front, so dead center.
That's a shame. I would have been happy to like chat with you for a bit because I
Me
was.
too, dude.
I'm usually so checked out when I go to MAGFest. I usually only go for like a couple of hours and then drive back to Delaware. I spend almost as much time in the car as I do at the con. But
they can get you to stay next year.
Yeah, really.
At least for
That'd be
a
cool.
night.
Yeah, why
that might
don't
be
you
like-
stay? If you're going to take all the time to travel there, why aren't you staying for the full thing?
because I'm a really cheap bastard. But what ends up
Well, you
happening
can
is
sleep in your car. It's fine. You can continue to
first
be a
of
cheap
all,
bastard.
No, No, I'm not.
That's cold.
It
It's
was
cold.
Have you
It's
seen
freezing down
Pernell?
there.
He's a giant.
that first
Yeah,
night.
More to get frosted.
Blankets.
That first night was definitely 10. It was 10. That's
Easily.
cold.
That is very
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah, it got better, but boy,
Well, that
that
sounds
first night,
heavenly to me, but okay.
it was something.
Good lord, that's some psychotic crap right there. No bone,
10
no
sounds
bone.
heavenly.
Yeah.
You're one of those people I used to see back when I was in college. I was like in the freaking frosted mountains, jogging in underwear and crap. I don't know how you do it. I thought we were all warm-blooded creatures, but clearly we're not.
No, Aki apparently runs around naked in her house in the summer because it's too hot.
I love that.
And half the time in winter because it feels nice.
Wait,
There you go.
Moogly.
Cold-blooded indeed.
I've done polar dips, so
Well,
They're
polar
fun.
bear club stuff.
yeah. Well,
You'll never catch me doing
Yes,
that.
it
nonsense.
doesn't
That.
call it.
It's pretty fun.
hey,
Very,
jump in the
invigorating.
icy waters. It's great.
Yeah, tell my wife and kids I love them or something, because no, that's the kind of statement you get from me if I did that. I'm not coming back out.
Yeah, no
It
thanks.
can
No
do a shock to your
thanks.
system. Oh, but it's so good. It feels so nice.
Joe, how was your mag experience this year? You're a what they call a veteran.
My mag was pretty good. I didn't get to see as many indie games as I would have liked to, but that's like a recurring problem every year, it seems. I don't get to spend enough time like searching all of the merch stuff because there's way too many
That
friggin' people
floors
in
me.
there.
That floors me, considering the fact that you're there literally the entire time, even at the early on. Then again, that's a question worth asking you, because I've never been there for this. How crowded is it on opening?
Very.
Because so it's still really crowded, because typical
when-
con scenarios.
When they first
Right.
opened, I didn't see how bad it was this year, but last year, the line to get into the merch area stretched all the way down to where registration was.
It was
one
about
of the
the same.
lines.
It was bad. It was
Or-
stretching out to the
Or
atrium.
one of the lines. Another line
Jesus.
went to the left, all the way down and around back towards the atrium. The third line started in the middle, went back into the atrium, all the way back to where that other little convenience shop area used to be, and then down towards the entrance. 3 lines
That's
to
wild.
get into one merch room when they first opened, and that was last year.
Eat-
I don't want to know how
Keep your
bad
heart
this
out,
year
Packs
was.
Unplugged. Oh, you weren't there on opening this year?
I was there for opening, but I was asleep when I opened.
No, you must have learned your lesson from the previous years. Like, why even?
Either that or
freaking
I was in the room, or I was getting food or doing something. I just I rarely venture out for set times unless it's something I need to be at, like Super Strikers. I went to Steel Samurai. I went to my own panel. There were a few other things I went to. I can't remember all of them, but I just I spend so much time in my room because of my back.
No.
I think I said to you before, like, I'm almost surprised you don't just like carry a portable chair that you can just throw down whenever you're like, I'm resting my back. You know what? Crap. Sit. Just wherever. They're not going to stop you. They stop you if you got food and drink.
Yeah.
Bring one of those walkers that has a chair on it.
Yep, they're good too. My mom
They
got one of
were
those. They
renting
work
one
very
of
well.
the motorized carts, but I just I don't want to be in the way of everyone.
Yeah, that's why you get the walker with the chair in it.
I mean, why not?
That's
Everybody
not in the
else is in the
way.
way of everyone.
I don't know.
I'll push you around in a wheelchair.
I'm very self-conscious about stuff like that. Like, I don't want to be a hindrance to anyone.
If only everyone was self-conscious about that, the world
That's
would be
true.
a much better place.
You ain't lying about that.
Yeah.
Diggity dang.
But I
Andy,
have,
what
I
else
have
did
a
you?
question.
Oh, go ahead.
You said there weren't enough indie games, in your opinion. There
No, I didn't
Are there
see
a
enough
bunch?
indie
You
games.
didn't get to see enough.
I didn't spend
but there
enough
were a
time
ton
in the
in the
area.
room.
Yeah, this year
Oh,
there was a
okay.
great lineup. There were a lot of amazing indie games out there. I was pretty impressed.
Yeah,
So you
that's
missed
what I
out.
thought. I thought the whole thing was indie games. And then you said you didn't see enough. I was like, oh, is there a bunch of AAA games there now or something? I thought it was
No.
all indie.
No, I just didn't spend
spent a
enough
good
time in the
chunk of
indie
time
game
playing a-
section.
Okay.
Like I spent a
all
bunch
right.
of time playing a turn-based platformer, which just seemed weird and unfamiliar to me. Yet it was great.
What was it?
Yeah, that sounds awkward.
It was called it's like I always get the name wrong. It was like Vicarious Orange or something like that. No, Discreet Orange. Yeah, it's
I'll
a
have to
little
look
fun
that up.
game. It's one of the games where I feel like if you see it on the office, it's like this game doesn't make any sense. I quit, but my friend and I were like determined to figure it out. Next thing you know, we'd done like 3 levels in a row, and we had to convince ourselves that there's other things to do at the convention and we should probably leave.
That's fair.
But we would have kept playing it.
We do have some interviews coming up later on this month. We're going to be talking to the folks behind the game Ashcroft and Drift Boom Boom. And then we have a couple other people we're chatting with that we might get on as well. So
Is that a car game? Is that a car game? Is that drift car? A different kind of drift.
Yeah, drift car and boom,
Sweet.
boom, so you explode stuff.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Ready.
I think
Let's go.
It's like top-down isometric racer with
Oh.
weapons.
It is. That is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
We'll be talking to them. That should be fun. Andy, what other stuff did you enjoy at MAG? Like, what are some of your highlights?
Well, I was telling Grant the other day, and maybe I told you this too, that I thought it was really interesting. Like, I'm, obviously I stream.
Uh-oh.
streams
Are you there?
or just, can you not hear me?
Oh, you dropped for a couple
I dropped.
seconds there.
Oh, okay, weird. No, I was just saying that, like those music and video games are like my main two. So I don't really have anybody like around me most of the time that I talk to about those things. So it was almost like overwhelming, like being in a place like that where everyone is like suddenly the expert, I thought it was really cool, but it was like, hey, have you heard of this game? And they'd give me like all the details and the developer and who made the music, and everything. I was like, oh man, yeah, you definitely know that one. So I thought it was really neat. Honestly, just like getting to meet people, seeing the bands play, just hanging out with everybody, I thought it was awesome. I didn't really play very many games. I didn't really like talk to too many indie people myself. I mean, honestly, I felt like I walked around and just like chatted with random individuals or hung out with people, and that was awesome.
And of course, the late night weird room sessions.
We had a lot of late night weird room sessions. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was feeling
2:30 in the morning, hanging out with the band Power Glove, just watching Lonely Island videos.
Yeah, I've told that story a couple of times too. That was pretty cool. Yeah, everybody. I thought it was like interesting because you and I went out a couple of times, and it was like, hey, let's go check out indies or let's go check out this panel, And then we'd get there, and it was like we were maybe there for like 5-10 minutes, and it was like, all right, let's go. Hold on, we're gonna go meet like this person, And we'd meet like when we met Grant, I like obviously I've talked to Grant before on the podcast, but it's like a room full of musicians who are just phenomenal at their craft and just chilling. And I'm standing in the corner, like trying to take it all in and like meet just everyone who is amazing, at what they do, and just be like, hey, I'm Andy. I also like music too, so
See, we'd be friends right then and there.
Right? Yeah. I was like, you guys are playing a cool game. It looks like what? But I mean, honestly, it was that all the time. Like we'd go back, like you said, you brought up Power Glove too. We'd go back to the room. Somebody, I told you this story before. Somebody was talking to me and like, hey man, trying to like big dick me and be like, you want to meet the band? Because like I know the people that can like, I can introduce you and stuff like that. And I was like, don't worry about it, man. I was like, I'm actually like sleeping in the same bed as the bass player. He's like, what the fuck?
Sleeping on him already.
I was like, it's cool, man. I was like, I'll probably meet him. I was like, we hang out like every night, And he's just like, oh my god, dude, how do you know these people? And I was like, I don't know.
I'm just better
cool,
than
though,
you,
right?
I guess.
I'm
gotta
sleeping in
I-
the same bed as the bass player. That's so.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that's a good
possible.
line.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
It was like the perfect like big dick to big dick move, Like
Yeah.
no, don't worry about it, buddy. Like I got it all right. So
Clashing dicks.
I love that.
dude, It was great though, man. I mean, like I would say just taking it all in. I mean, other cons I've gone to like kind of by myself too. So it's me going around like trying to figure everything out. This one was, as I was talking about earlier today on another podcast that I'm on, like TwitchCon.
You're on
is
another
very much for,
podcast?
I am, dude. You didn't know that?
Moonlighting.
We don't have a name. I don't know. I had exclusive rights to this one, but yeah, we
real quick.
We were talking
since,
about it a
since
little
we
bit.
are a podcast, I got to give a quick shout out to Jordan who just subbed earlier in the show. Trash Rando subbed, Slap My Penguin subbed, and Injury subbed. So thank you everyone for the subs, and thanks for hanging out and being here.
Yeah, thank you guys so
After
much.
how friggin' long that we've been gone.
For 1,000 episodes too. Yeah, dude. Yeah, thank you guys. But yeah, I mean, it's like TwitchCon was good for meeting people. PAX West was good to check out games, and this one was like just meeting people and seeing bands and just experiencing like the level of talent and like knowledge people had was just incredible.
There's a lot of people that talk about the quote MAGFest vibe. Did you feel that?
I don't know if I really felt like the vibe. I felt like I was around so many different like groups of people that it was hard to really like lock down like this is what MAGFest is. But I don't know. Do you feel a vibe when you go there?
Sometimes. In recent years, it hasn't been as much because of how many people are there. But you can't deny that fun feeling when you're just sharing checkers with some friends in the middle of the night because nothing else is open and you got DoorDash.
Yeah.
And
I think that was the thing was like anytime we were like, I was just talking about meeting Grant and like all the amazing musicians, and hanging out with you guys in the rooms and just going and doing things. I think there were little moments where you're in like kind of a small group of people and you can really feel like the love and just like the overall like community vibe like between everybody then. But there were quite a bit of people, like walking through crowds was just like, yep, it's another crowd of people. So
yeah,
it's a lot. It is a lot.
The hardest part about MAGFest is the sheer number of bodies that are in that place.
Yeah, and they all have a completely different experience than we do, right? I mean, I just would walk by these groups of what looked like 10-year-olds to me because I'm ancient and be like, they are having a completely different weekend than I am. I don't know what they're doing, where they're going, what they're seeing, but it's not the same con I'm at. So it's just it's wild. There's just so much going on.
Something that felt like the old MAGFest days was how behind all the concerts seemed to be.
Yeah, they ran into a few hiccups.
Just reminded me the old days.
The day that Arcadian and I played, one of the bands plugged in their smoke machines without asking anyone into extension cords. Those things pull 1,500 watts a pop, and they blew a breaker. So it knocked the whole show back an hour.
Man.
That's what happened that day, why we had played so late. But, these things happen.
It's part of the con magic, is you just roll with it and see what happens.
I did like the addition of the expansion stage, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
That was very
I
cool.
think it's better fit for some bands than others. Like, some were, like, just too damn loud. Like, it's too small. But for some of the smaller acts, it was, like, the right fit. Like, because sometimes they get lost on the big stage.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope they sort of take that stage under the mag wing more appropriately so that you can have, smaller acts during the day and then segue into the big acts at night. And then everyone can get sound checks. And there's all kinds of talk about how to handle something like that. Avoid problems. And I don't know. We'll see. But they haven't had a proper second stage in a long time. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Grant, as someone who played on both stages, what do you think of performing on the big stage and the small stage? And how does it compare to the older days?
It was a lot of work because it was 2 sets and, prepping for a show one night with a, composer that doesn't speak English and learning all these songs. And I play a lot more tiny strings in these sets than I do with Metroid Metal. So learning all that and then the next day changing gears, be like, see you guys later. Got to go play with the other band now, and so it was a lot. It was more than I would normally take on, but it was the first chance I've had to play my solo Stemage material live, and I got to share the stage with the Arcadian, who was supposed to be here tonight, but he couldn't make it, who has the voice Owen Angel. So I got to show his voice off to Mag, which was fun. And then we put on, it was low pressure for the second show. We wore onesies, we threw fruit snacks into the crowd, we blew some bubbles, we had memes and metal. So trying to go for more of a fun, quirky, cozy metal show. Then, we could have, but it was great. We had a great time. So compared to the old days, I mean, the small stage felt a lot more like the old days. But they also capped that. They capped that room. I mean, Family Jewels played after us, and nobody could get in.
Sad mix. I tried to go to that.
Yeah, I don't know what the cap is, but they hit it. But that's what they get for booking a bigger name and a tiny room. Jules is Jules, and then Rex Viper, the angry video game nerd band, played after him. So, needless to say, that line was long for a long time. So,
there were so many long lines this year for seemingly every panel had massive lines except for ours.
We had a good crowd.
We did have a good crowd. We had a surprisingly large crowd for what we did. I'm really happy with the turnout this year.
Could have gone 30 more minutes too. People had more questions, but happens.
I will say it almost was like my.
I was, yeah.
What did you think of us talking?
It's boring as it usually is.
Oh yeah,
that's funny.
Got him.
No, I actually.
I'm not even listening to you now.
Yeah, I'm not. I was like, oh shit, he called my name. I got to answer. So I know you've been to every mag, but I didn't. I got some insights. I didn't know what like the lumberjacks were. And of course, it makes sense you'd be sharing the hotel with a bunch of bears. But yeah, I guess it's kind of cool now having been to like VGM Con at a smaller convention, but not even as small as I guess Mag was when it first went. Like I kind of have a bit of perspective on that now, and so I was able to kind of like visualize what that might have been like. So I was living.
Mag was under 300 people.
Crazy,
very crazy.
It was small once.
Once upon a dream. What do you?
I mean, 300 is pretty small, but I wouldn't want to buy pizza for all of them.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what I saw that last weekend versus 300. Like, there were over 25,000 people, 30,000 people? I don't even know.
Something like that. I think they capped the badges at 25,000. Then there's staff and guests and whatever else.
Oof.
So a lot of people. A whole lot of people.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I was shocked day one. Yeah, I pulled into the parking garage at like 11. And usually I show up like in the afternoon on day one and have no problem getting parking. I got one of the last spots up at the top, uncovered in the garage.
You did it. You did it though. You made it.
Yeah, I made it.
What day was that?
That was Thursday, on Thursday. And then, before everything opened up, it seemed packed. I was like, oh my God, is MAGFest now like too big? But once things opened up, it actually like seemed fine. And then the rest of the weekend, honestly, I didn't notice it feeling like overcrowded.
I can't agree with that, man. Holy cow, Saturday, it felt crowded everywhere I went. Like, there weren't any places where I was like, man, it feels real good to just stretch my arms and breathe. No.
I never felt crowded. It was great.
Yeah, you were home.
True.
No, and usually I've got a room. This year I didn't have one at the Gaylord, which was, a blessing in disguise because it kind of forces you to get out there and stay engaged in the con. And honestly, like I had a good time, bouncing around. Didn't feel like overwhelmed.
My dream for MAGFest is to get one of the executive suites with the 2 wings. So you can have like 8 people in one suite. That's what I want.
Well, next year. Let's do it.
It is so hard to get.
I do hear a lot of issues regarding like getting the rooms in the sense that like it was like supposedly sleeping was at a premium because of the noise you'd hear in the hallways and stuff. Like people wouldn't let you sleep or whatever. Did you guys experience that when you were there at all, or was sleeping pretty easy to do once you were determined to do it?
We were kind of at the end
Depends
of the
on the
hall.
night. Depends on your neighbors.
Yeah, 'cause I remember I've seen a story. One guy said some dude just walked down the hallway with a freaking, of all things, like a radio, or I guess they were playing music out of their phone. Was like, what? Just like yelling for everyone to just wake up randomly. Like that would have made me catching a murder charge. Running into the hallway and strangling this guy. Like it's.
Yeah.
But apparently someone was complaining. My friend was like, I didn't get any sleep last night. This jackass just walked down the hall yelling about wake up. But I was like,
Yeah,
"Ugh."
that's pretty shitty.
I got the best sleep this MAGFest because one of my normal roommates, because I wasn't staying at the Gaylord, he ended up shacking up with some of his other friends. That dude snores like nobody's business and has like ruined my MAGFest a few different times because I'm so fucking exhausted. So I think there's a new rule going forward. Like, yeah, we're not sharing rooms, bud.
Got to get those earplugs.
Yeah, I can tell you.
No earplug in the world.
In our room, we were going to bed between like, I think 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. was maybe the latest. So
Something like that.
most people, I would say, were asleep. But as far as I know, like I had earplugs. I think everybody else just about had earplugs too. I mean, it was a bunch of dudes. I'm sure we were all
Those are key.
those decibels, you know?
Yeah, very important. Lawnmowers all over the building, for sure.
yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Went through a lot of alcohol too. Surprisingly more than I thought we would. Like we blew through Midori this weekend, or that weekend. Not this weekend.
Glad I could get a little bit of that. That's real nice.
Yeah,
me
Mountain
too.
Dew
That was
Midori.
Yeah, I felt bad. Like I had to be responsible. Like he poured me a Mountain Dew Midori, and it was like almost my bedtime. I was like, I can't have this much caffeine and sugar at 10 p.m. Like, I'll never go to sleep.
That means you're doing MAGFest right. If you can't sleep, you just keep going.
I know. I regret it too, because then I saw pictures the next day of the banging party that I left to go to sleep.
I had
next
checkers
time, the lesson
so
learned,
much
take
that
that
weekend
sour.
too. I think 4 times
Great.
we ordered checkers that weekend.
It was delicious.
I love checkers.
Oh, it was so good. We don't have
Mainly
them
for
up
those
here.
so
freaking
good.
fries. You don't have rallies or checkers?
Not up here. Nope.
Oh, mercy.
where I am
no,
either.
Get it. Well, I mean, I guess that's a trade-off. You have that freaking, what's the gas station that has the Dr. Pepper sauce.
No sheets.
Yeah, you have sheets. Maybe that's the penance. I don't know. I got rallies and checkers near me, but I don't have a sheet. So there you go.
I would give up sheets in a heartbeat for checkers.
Understood. Because, man, again, those fries, baby. Woof. Though you can buy the fries at the grocery store now. You know that, right?
Yep. Oh, we've got an Ian who wants to join. Ian, how are you doing tonight?
Hop in, buddy.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm almost better.
Almost.
Almost. Still have a bit of sinus block, but I'm doing all right.
You're even lower right now. You've got the. Read me a bedtime story before you get well, if you would.
Yeah, once upon a time, the end. Enjoy.
Wow. I'm asleep.
Dang, dude.
Nap time.
Good night.
I passed out.
You go nap.
I will tell one funny story, Mag, that I thought was hilarious. I was in my room, so I didn't experience this, but apparently there was a fire alarm on the convention side the first day, and one of the gals that runs Mag West was giving a trombone lesson to people, and they were trying to just kind of stay quiet and like not get kicked out of the room they were in, but people came by and they kicked them out. So they were going down the hallway and they learned how to play the alarm sound on the trombone, right? So they were like going down just bring, and perfect intonation. Fantastic.
Saw that video.
It's real good. So when they all ended up in the atrium area, and I was in the room, and it sounded, I was like, what am I hearing? And it sounded like an F1 race. Like after you take into account all the acoustics of that giant atrium and a bunch of trombones going, it sounded like I was like someone's going to drop into Daytona or something.
Cavernous, dissonant echo.
Yep. Absolutely cavernous. And but yeah, it was basically just a bunch of trombone players playing the fire alarm, which I thought was very fun. So 24 or so. Thought that was
ridiculous.
That was a good one.
That's the MAGFest vibe right there.
Yep.
Lots of new people too. Lots of people first time there. The Arcadian who I played with, it was his first time there, and his first experience with the Colossus Roar was on an escalator. So you hear it in the distance normally, but every once in a while you get surrounded by it, so it happens sort of around you, and it's very intense if you're not used to it. And he was like, "What just happened?" And it was pretty great.
I gotta say, there's one benefit to my mag experience right there. I didn't hear the Colossus roar once, and I don't know how that happened, but I'm gonna keep it.
It's the new Whamageddon.
We almost started one at your panel.
I'm so glad you did not.
You out.
I thought it was great every time.
Get the fuck out.
I've come around.
That would have made it worth it. Get out.
I've come around on the roar, and now I just find it adorable because it's all these people doing it. They don't know where it's from, and they don't do it right. They just go, ah! It's amazing. It's adorable.
Well, I remember sometime around like Mag 13, 14, a lot of people thought it was like a Dragon Ball Z reference. You know, like
that
Super
hurts
Saiyan,
calling it a
Super
Goku
Saiyan
roar.
It's like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
is it like a Goku scream? Is that what it is? No, it's not.
Arcading.
I heard the explanation for it more times than anything else.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, how many of them were actually correct?
It was most of them were from you and Joe here. It was like, do you hear the roar they're doing? And I was like, yeah. And let me tell you how it's supposed to be. Like, all right, cool.
Listen here, kids.
Arcadian can do a hell of a David Lee Roth impression. So he just turned it into a David Lee Roth. He would just keep going up and then land in the DLR squeal. And yeah,
You know, I can respect that.
you gotta make it work.
And he has
You
the
gotta make
voice
it
to
work.
pull it off, so I would enjoy that. We'll give him a
Gotta
pass.
make it work. Gotta make it work.
What were the reactions when he did that?
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, it was something. I mean, all kinds of different people would just sort of look in shock and think he played it out of some sort of device. It's like no, that's just.
Oh, he makes those noises
just,
naturally.
He can make those noises.
That's awesome.
Here, I'm gonna see if I can.
Portrayed by David Lee Roth.
Yes.
I could do it, but not on the podcast.
Oh, I'm ready.
Aw.
No, it's
No?
too loud.
Yeah, just red light that microphone.
Right?
The mic would peak.
Next
We'd just miss it
MAGFest,
completely.
I'll do it for you guys.
You gonna do another MAGFest? Do you think you'll be back?
I think I'll be back. Yeah, I mean, I had a great time, you know, and even if there wasn't a convention, you know, just like getting to the East Coast, hanging out with you guys was pretty badass too. So if you guys are gonna be there, if you guys don't show up, then I'll think about going. But
Well, I know we talked about the next one being VGM Con, but you said you got a birthday to attend to that one, don't you?
yeah, that's my birthday and my son's birthday that same
Ooh.
weekend.
Can I
That's
interrupt?
important.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be at VGM Con.
Yeah.
What?
there you go.
Yeah,
Yay!
I know.
Ditto.
Yeah, Super High Tops
Sweet.
got booked there. That we recently were able to announce that.
Awesome.
Nice, dude. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Stoked.
There's some
It'll
good,
be our first
good
out
artists
of
playing this year.
out of town show.
Cool. Score.
I said you're in some good company. There's some good bands playing this year.
Oh yeah,
The ones I'm excited besides Super High Tops are Danimal and the One Ups.
nice.
I'm so
It's
pumped
been a
about
long
those.
time since I got to play with the one ups.
Steel Samurai will be there, and Kirby's Dream Band will be there, and
Yeah, a bunch of
Pretty
old
good.
friends for me.
Yep.
Which is really nice. That's gonna have the vibes. I'm willing to bet. And I'm already signed up to be a guest bassist on another group too, so people will be seeing me twice at least.
Ooh, are you able to say what the other band is, or have they not been announced yet?
I don't know, therefore I won't say. So, but I'll
It's a
talk
weird
about it
band name,
closer
but
to.
I'll let it slide.
A what?
I said that's a weird band name, but I'll let it slide.
Yeah, that's a good band name. I'm gonna keep that keep that in my pocket. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm
It's gonna be
excited for
fun.
VGM Con. Yay! Oh, we got another sub, Raider Biz. Thank you for the sub. Always love having you here. Appreciate you being around. We're talking about MAGFest, and we're talking about our anniversary because we've been doing this for 12 years now. Isn't that crazy?
12 years. Speaking of the devil, Chris Huber was at Mag for like 15 minutes, long enough to play, and then left.
I didn't even get to see him.
Speaking of old guard,
I missed that guy.
What's up with that? How many versions of your theme song are there?
God, 11.
Oh man, one for each year.
I didn't realize there was quite that many.
Let me look it up just to double check.
I thought there was like 6 or something.
No, we've got Kunal's original one, and then Grant, you did yours, then Chris Huber, then Mega Beardo, then Ailshawn, then Pud, then Zyko, then Viking Guitar, and then you did that mashup of yours, Viking Guitars, and Beardo's that we used for a while. Then Ropanuganti is doing the current one. Norg did one for our 11th anniversary that was in like 11.5 time signature, something weird like that. And then Mustin did one that we used for like intermissions.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's
well, you gotta go for 12.
A new one.
Yeah, you need a new one.
Time. Andy, make us a theme song.
I was talking to you about that the other day too. Maybe I will. It's gonna be all a cappella though.
Yeah, we're long overdue. I love it.
Just overlays of a cappella.
Don't tease. Got to make it happen.
I'm not going to say it's going to be good, but I'll make it.
Doesn't have to be good.
I mean, if it's for this show, I don't blame you for purposely not making it good. You don't need to put that much effort in. We don't.
Make it worse on purpose.
Either that or go die hard into the 80s synthwave because we are in the year 2025 where apparently all the cool future shit's supposed to happen.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's kind of weird if you think about it. I mean, this is the year 2025.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that, though.
Yeah, I remember when the year 2000 seemed like the distant future. Now it's a quarter of a century behind us.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if the cinephiles really wanted to rack their brains, we can go through a lot of like classic movies that we grew up with that, technically speaking, have already taken place.
Oh God, sci-fi movies.
Yeah,
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. That happened like 6 years ago, guys. That's old news now.
I do like that Conan O'Brien kept doing in the year 2000 after 2000 came around.
Oh yeah,
I find that
when he did that for a long time.
Just kept going. Yeah.
And then what did he? When he switched to the Tonight Show, didn't he change it to in the year 3000?
I don't remember.
Oh no, I don't know.
When he was on the Tonight Show,
that would be unfortunate if so.
Months.
Yeah,
I miss those days.
No, it's funnier as the year 2000.
It is. So what else should we talk about? Is there anything anyone wants to chat about with MAGFest? Scott, anything you want to chat about?
Oh, geez. Now you caught me off guard. First thing I did was lockpicking, which has nothing to do with music or games, but I guess it could be a way to get a bunch of free games. But it was cool. Like they had a little lock pissing. Okay. But yeah, you could go there and piss on locks all MAGFest. It's pretty interesting. It's very niche, but those furries are in all kinds of stuff.
I don't judge. Whatever makes them happy, right?
I judge absolutely everyone on everything.
We know.
I believe it.
And I've played Killer Queen so much that now I can pretty much kick anybody's ass when they show up, and I love doing that. I'm like, you're doing it all wrong. Get off the queen, damn it! You're no good. You're bringing us down.
That's a good game. I missed when it was on Xbox. Killer Queen Black on Xbox.
I didn't like the black version. I thought it changed just enough to not be as good.
I had fun with it, but that's gone now, so my soul cries every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Dude. Super sad.
Everton.
It hurts. Something fun I did at MAGFest was playing Ghost of Perdition on Rock Band.
No way.
That was so much fun, dude. That was
That
awesome.
sounds awesome. I love that song. It's like that's like top 3 Opeth tracks.
They have
Nice
a
job.
rock band booth set up at MAGFest, and there were only like 4 songs ahead of me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I signed up for Ghost of Perdition. I don't think anyone realized at the time what exactly I was signing up for. BX, thank you for the sub. Love seeing you here. Enjoy the emotes. We're talking about MAGFest and our anniversary. MAGFest, Ghost of Perdition. Song came up. It was our turn. I went up to the microphone. Andy, you took guitar?
So I tried to take guitar, and the other dude was there, and I was like, "Hey, man," I was like, "Do you want guitar or bass?" And he's like, "I'm already like signed up for guitar." So I was like, "Have you ever played this song before?" He's like, "No, but it should be pretty easy."
Did
I
he
was like,
really
"All right,
say that?
good luck." Yeah.
I kind of felt bad because Maguda was looking for an instrument to play, and that guitarist had absolutely no intention of letting him jam. Despite the fact
he
that
got
he was in our
absolutely
group.
fucked on that song, man.
I hate when people do that.
Yeah. Because I don't know. I mean, because Chris is a really super nice guy, so he wouldn't have made an issue about it. But I'm about ready to lean in over. I was like, dude, he's in the group. Can you?
At least he came over to sing
do
with
him a
me.
solid. And,
Yeah,
he
that
did
was
a good
cool.
job too. He was holding his own on some like the long sustained notes. He was picking them up pretty well. But for the people who don't know, Ghost of Perdition is a 10.5 minute long song. Prog
Oh,
rock, so
Jesus.
it varies
It's a journey.
in styles through the whole song. And I made people play a 10.5 minute long song at MAGFest.
Heck yeah.
you know, I'll give props to the drummer. I mean, he stuck it out as best as able.
The best
I wish I
part
could have done
is
that.
I got the guy a high score on his game, and I got a 99% gold star. So I was happy with that.
Oh.
Wow, that's impressive.
Hey, I could
That's
sing
great,
when I
man.
want.
Yeah, it's a shame you don't do it more often. I've actually heard you legitimately sing.
It's not a
You
shame,
should do
trust
it
me.
more often. Oh, I love hearing you actually properly sing.
I don't know if I've heard it.
No?
Joe.
Bet you could do it mean Barry
Well,
White.
let's talk. We'll work something out. I'll sing for you.
Let's hear it, Joe. Now.
Not right now. Hell no, not right now. Can you hear my voice? I've been smoking pot all day. I'm stressed. Fuck that.
Fair. I will listen to Ghost of Perdition after the show.
It's a great song.
I have it. I have it up with its 10 minutes and 25 seconds or something like that.
If you have it pulled up, you should just like listen to it now and give us your live thoughts through the song.
Oh, that'd be
Okay,
good.
I don't care. That works for me.
As long as it doesn't play over the headset so that, copyright
It won't.
strike doesn't
I
happen.
don't think.
I
If
feel
it's
like
not
the
playing
only-
over it right now, it's not going to. Because I have started it.
I feel like the only song that would be crazier would be Symphony X's The Odyssey, which is about 22 or 23 minutes.
Woo.
Nice.
And that one is just, it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle change.
They have
I'm
2112 in
loosely
the game.
familiar. I'm loosely familiar with Symphony X, so just hearing a song from them that's over 10 minutes long is just like, oh wow.
I played it sometimes on Clone Hero, and it's like one of my favorite songs, but it is just such a journey. Like anybody comes in and it's like, play this song, and I'm like, I'm 5 minutes in, like it's gonna be technically like
You're going to wait.
3 or 4 more songs before,
No, the beauty of it is to be like, okay, and just keep going.
Yeah.
Then half an hour later.
Did
What
I
was it?
ever
wanted to
get
play?
you the song Crystal Flash by Jake Kaufman, Clone Hero?
Mm.
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe.
gonna have to get you that.
I think the last one you got me was the Metroid one, the Metroid medley.
Yeah, that's probably it then.
Was that
22
was that
minutes.
It? Yeah, I think I tried. I think I played through it eventually, but I tried one time and I had a bunch of like some raids come in or something like that, and I was like, I can't get through this. Like, it's just not gonna happen.
The one year I had my rock band set up for MAGFest, I had a 360 with like an offline version of the game. So I had custom songs on there. and that was one of the custom songs I had on. And after we set it up, the guy who was working on consoles was like, should we play a song to test out the calibration? Like, yeah, I'll get a song set up for you. 5 minutes before his shift was supposed to start. So I'm like, here's a song, give this one a go. And I just walked away and watched him. He's like checking his watch as he's playing, checking his watch. And I'm standing there next to Bunny because she's head of consoles. I'm like, listen, he's going to freak out. This is a 20-minute long song. I know he's going to be late for his shift. I know he's going to be late for his shift, but it's my fault. Don't be mad at him.
That's good.
He's like, you're such an asshole, JoJo.
That's great.
Did he finish it?
He played the whole thing.
All right.
Hey.
Me and Bunny gave him applause when he finished.
I feel like I need to. So at VGM Con, a guy had Clone Hero there with a pretty good guitar, and I didn't realize the breadth of stuff available for that. I feel like I need to invest in a new piece of plastic so I can actually get my Guitar Hero jam on my computer. It's been too long.
Yeah,
I gotta figure
do you
something
have
out.
any plastic guitars now?
No, they've all been moved. I think I don't think I have anything left. I had a Wii DJ Hero controller, and I did get rid of that too. So at the moment, no. But I hear there's some good options out there.
Yeah, if you're looking for new, I think the Riffmaster works wirelessly with PC as long as you have the USB adapter. Those are like $130 brand new.
Oh, they just got on sale too. It's like 100 or 110 or something now.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, I have a 3D printed guitar that I picked up, but it's technically more expensive than that Riffmaster.
Oh, looks like a Warlock. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know you have songs in Clone Hero, right, Grant?
I do. I'm aware. I don't know how accurate they are, but I'm aware they're there. So someone put the work in. Bless you.
Yeah, I'm trying to see which songs of yours are in there. The Metroid Metal. The Super Metroid Metal Boss Medley with Dan Taylor.
Cool.
There's a few versions of that. What else do we have? I have a whole friggin' folder full of songs. I have way too many songs. My computer's crying trying to open the folder.
So wait, Gray, how would you know if it's accurate? You're like, no, it's supposed to be the green button right there.
I don't know. It's a vibe, right? You know, like that's clearly an orange note, not a green note. I
Vibe
don't
checks,
know. I
yo,
don't know.
vibe checks.
Autobot Decepticon Battle and Space Pirates are both in there too.
Oh, cool. Our Autobot Decepticon battle?
Yep.
That's
Metroid
cool.
Metal.
I want to play that. I'd rather play that on the plastic guitar than the real one.
There you go. I have 6,400 songs for Clone Hero.
Insane.
Yeah. That's why I got a bigger hard drive for my computer.
It's so many.
It's your fault. You told me to download it, Andy.
It's true, dude. You still haven't played with me too, so
Yeah, we got to
Very
fix
upset.
that. So yeah, it's been an hour that we've been chatting. Any other MAGFest stuff people want to chat about, or should we start moving over onto our review segment that we have a whole lot of games to talk about tonight?
Can I just throw out Bit Brigade real quick? I have
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
of course.
Their upgrade to 16-bit Brigade, or
Yeah,
Super-
there you go. Yeah.
one of the two. Great set. So they played F-Zero as a warm-up, and then they went through Super Mario World, which ended up being basically an entire Mario medley, which, makes sense and makes up for some time, because I never really took into account that they never played any Mario songs for the NES. So they made up for it in spades. It was a hell of a set.
It's a great speed
Yeah,
run,
they-
too.
Yeah, they really brought it with that. I mean, I learned they do 64 songs with that Mario set.
Oh, wow.
Across all of the Marioverse, Dr. Mario, Mario Land 2, like just awesome. They did it.
Wait,
Yeah,
you're
thankfully I
saying
got-
they did like a bunch of different Mario games during the Super Mario World set?
Yeah, so what it is instead of repeating songs, which you would hear a ton of repeating songs across that game, they would just change to other games. So you'd get to hear Mario 2 and all the different versions of the underground music.
They did Super Mario Land.
Yep.
It's my
That's actually
favorite.
awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool. If you stayed at MAG one time, you could.
Hey, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Maybe next year. We'll see if I can find they can find an opportunity to go there and not like spend like a freaking mortgage payment to go or whatever. I can make it happen. Because it's definitely something like I said, I've never stayed, aside from when I used to staff, I've never stayed. No, I said it, but no. When I would do the MAGFest Pokemon League, I would stay a little longer. But nonetheless, yeah, I don't generally stay very long. So it would be nice to give it a shot for once. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I think you should do it.
You'll all regret it. Some stuff. Like, Dad, who told Pernell to stick the hell around? Can't get rid of this guy.
I tried to get you to stick around, dude. You disappeared on me.
I was poofed. Yeah, like I said, I didn't even know you were there. Otherwise, I would have intentionally stayed around. Like, I left to go to the restroom, and for a while, I thought Joe was going to, come out and do something, but he did mention in advance that he might be done because of his back. So I was like, well, if you were able to, just tap my phone, and I'll meet you. But I had to go to the bathroom badly. So I did. That was my priority. And then when I did that, and I was like, well, now what? You want to go play, popping music? And I just kind of went and did a bunch of. I got my dinner, and I think I did a bunch of stuff in the video game room to get my rhythm game fix in. Because for the record, everybody else goes there to hear music. I go there to play fake music, being video game rhythm games. So
yeah, they're all there.
Get my washing machine game.
That's what I was saying. The one that looks like a washing machine. I don't know what it's actually called, but it looks like a freaking washing machine.
I know there's like two of them. I know one of them is called Waka. I don't know what the other one's called though. And the one I know how to play is Waka. But Waka is a lot of fun. Though if you're not wearing gloves, you'll probably end up with some freaking like hand dents or something by the time you're done because you're like rubbing up across the freaking panels and junk. It's a mess. But I love playing that game. You feel like it's like the thing that makes those games so great is like if you're not a musician, I would wager musicians when they're on the stage getting down and really getting into it, they get that groove state where they're just kind of like freestyle and just like playing music. Like it's almost they're almost having an out of body experience and they're like, but as a non-musician, I don't get that. However, when I play rhythm games and I'm doing particularly well at a song that has a really good beat and medley, out of nowhere, I will find myself like shaking my ass, moving my hands around, like I'm trying to make some kind of groove mix going. And people will come look at what's wrong with this guy. Like, this guy's having fucking fun. Get out of my business. But since they're so hard to come across because they're all Japanese games and a lot of arcades just want to stock freaking redemption games now. When I go to MAGFest, I go ham on them as best I can. Especially with the whole free play thing.
Yep. This just in, Pernell shook his ass.
Yeah, I'd say that's the high we're all trying to catch.
What did I get from this? Pernell shook that ass.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to take the good times how you can, right?
You damn Skippy.
Yeah, it's great when you can get there as an audience member too, which during your set on Super Strikers, Adam Dragon's been my jam for, since VGM Con, since I was introduced. So, like, I was fucking air drumming my ass off in the crowd.
Awesome.
Yeah, Super Strikers were freaking beast.
At the right mood of, like, just got drunk enough too, and yeah, it was just...
No, that's good. We weren't allowed to do that until after the show. So, yes, thank you for doing the good work. That's great. Love it.
Oh, man. Grant, anything else you want to talk about with Mag?
I could tell a quick story about Kageyama because it's very cute.
Yeah.
He didn't speak a lick of English, so he had an interpreter with him that came from Japan, and he was very friendly and stuff. And he is familiar with some of the people because of him discovering people liked his music, and he just decided that he had to go see martial art. He wanted to see JMR's band, and he told the interpreter he didn't need to go, and he just went. He just went by himself, didn't speak a lick of English. And I get a text message, and it says, "Hey, so Kageyama is in the front row at martial art," which I was like, "Whoa, nice. Okay." And he's trying to talk to people. It's not really working very well. The dude weighs about 20 pounds, tiny little man, not in the best of health. And we're a little worried about him. I was like, all right, well, I'll look into it. So Interpreter was like, he just wanted to go. He just wanted to go to the show. So I think he called someone from like Team Japan to kind of go and like keep an eye on him or whatever. So yeah, Kageyama got up for the front row of, and people made a little sort of circle just to make sure if there was any pit action, he would not get obliterated.
Now that is MAGFest vibe right there. That part.
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah, totally. So Kageyama got front row for that, which I thought was really, really adorable, and I think he enjoyed himself thoroughly. So,
yay,
that was cool.
That song was awesome.
Story.
By the way, Joe.
Which one? Oh, Opath, you like it?
Yeah, that was good.
Good track.
It changed musically. It changed so completely numerous times throughout it that it really threw me for a loop. At the very first one, I was like, "Wait, what?"
Was that your first time listening to Opath? Is that what I just heard?
No, not my first time listening to Opath, but my first time ever hearing that song.
Okay.
You should check out Heir Apparent now. That's the other song they have in the game.
Okay, will do. I can't even tell you what songs of theirs I've heard because it used to be on one of the satellite channels that was just music. I would listen to that and I recognize their name, but I can't tell you any of the songs that I would have heard.
Anything from Blackwater Park is a gem, as old as that is. I don't care.
Same.
Have you heard their new one?
No, once I discovered shoegaze, I lost track of metal, but I get my moments where I'm like, oh, I got to get back into this shit.
It's good.
So, yeah, I need to give it a listen then and see how it is.
I didn't know that shoegaze was your thing. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Shoegaze is my jam. Shoegaze and, believe it or not, twee. And then also Riot Girl.
Right on. Well, that's cool. Today I learned some Pernell lore.
Or Riot On.
Riot On.
Oh, man. Ian, any stuff you want to talk about with MAGFest before we wrap up?
Not really. I mean, pretty much I was just kind of along for the ride for this year, and I'm totally cool with that.
Thanks for the mead.
Yeah, the mead was good.
It's delicious.
I feel so
we
vindicated.
had some good chill room parties. Some, not even room parties, just room gatherings.
Room soirees.
Yeah. That's why I want a suite, though, so that everyone comes to our party. But I don't have to run from room to room finding everyone.
Be careful what you wish for. It's going to be a bunch of randos like crashing your party.
That's why you got to keep tabs on who's there and like why they're there. How many times did we have
12-year-old liquor? God damn it!
How many times did we have suite parties and someone shows up and they're like, "Hey, is this person in there?" And it's a name we never heard of, and they're just trying to get into our party. Ian, I know you've dealt with some people.
You're saying like they're trying to claim to get in there and actually find the person that doesn't actually exist?
I think they're just trying to crash a party.
No, I'm saying, but that's their line. Like, it's such and such in there, but the person isn't there. And they're like, can I go in and find them? And now they're in.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Like, usually if someone comes up looking for someone, because we've hosted some pretty big parties, so it is quasi-possible that, random Aaron Aronson might be inside. So it's like, hold on a sec, let me check. And, hey, anyone know Aaron? And if I'm awash in a sea of clueless faces, then, well, sorry, man, you got the wrong room. Oh, can I come in and check? No. Bam.
No. Get out.
Or if you tell them to wait, you'll check, and then they try following you in the room.
Oh, no. I shut the door. Straight up. No.
Oh, yeah.
No. If I don't know you, you wait the fuck outside until I know one way or the other. Because there have been times where like, okay, just wait here, give me a second. Bam. Hey, anyone know this jackass? Yeah, I do. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, come on in.
At least I'll keep that in mind. If I ever do decide to stay, at least I know I actually have a party I can go to should I choose to do so.
Yeah, man. You got like VIP access.
All right. Oh, just shucks.
You're always welcome in our room, Pernell.
Yeah.
Chill with us.
If like one guy who doesn't know you answers the door, you have our permission to pull the "Don't you know who I am?"
You do realize officially I might have to do it just because I want to try that once. You know who the fuck I am?
Exactly.
Damn room. You don't know who I am. Wait a minute. I'm always too modest to even consider some shit like that. I'm just like, hi, would you be kind enough to let me check out your party? It'd be really fun to have some people to spend time with. Cool. Yeah. So I can just like, look here, motherfucker. You don't know who
at
this
MAGFest,
is.
you probably could knock on a random door that has a party going on and be like, hey, heard a party going on. Can I come hang out? And they'd be like, grab a drink.
No.
I've had that happen to me a few times where I'm just sharing shots with people I've never met in my life. And I've never met them again.
There was that one room that was down around the corner from us that had like the big body pillow out front and just big signs like, stop on in.
Yeah.
It's like, well, okay.
You're either walking into a very fun time or a Sonic orgy.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you were there in good faith, because
Fun time
no
either
one
way.
can stand like liquor mooches.
So this was my first 41 plus MAGFest, being a member of that group, and hanging out up in the room with you guys. I felt right at home. We were all up there like doing member berries, like member Flash-based websites, member Windows 3.1.
Oh man, I'm in that club too.
Hamster,
It's like, damn,
remember the hamster
we are
dance?
all
Remember zip drives?
Remember the golden age of Napster?
Yeah, I do remember. I think it was last year. My brother got one of those massage guns. You know, they're very popular now and cheap. You know, like the little ball on the end. And they just sort of made its way around the room. All the old people like massaging things and talking about readers, and it's just what you do now. You know, you go and you rock out and play some games, and then bitch about your feet at the end of the day.
Yeah. It is kind of surreal when you witness the youngins partying like we used to back in like Mag 4 and 5.
It hit me like someone was talking about watching so many bands all the way through, and I'm like, man, I don't want to see 8 full sets of bands in a day. And I'm like, oh, it's just because the kids do want to do that. I just don't have the energy for it. I got it. I forgot. Totally
just
forgot.
Listening to y'all makes me feel fucking old.
Right?
Shut the fuck up, Baki.
Seriously.
I will say though, I have gotten
Goddamn
better
kids.
at pushing the limits. If it weren't for the drive home part, pushing the limits is something I have become more capable of doing with that. So I'm not like, oh man, I'm so old. I'm more like, I'll feel this shit tomorrow, but tonight I'm going to ham. Let's hang out. Now I am that guy. It's like, can I get some earplugs for this concert? It's kind of loud in here.
Yeah, that's a good
I would just be
idea.
like,
Your hearing is precious. Don't fuck with it. Use your plugs if you can.
I just be like, yeah, y'all can go down to the dance party, or you can come to my room and we'll play Neo Geo on my pocket dock.
Yeah.
That just sounds wrong, by the way. It's
So extreme.
You know, I should workshop that a little more.
Little Neo Geo on your pocket
in your
dock.
pocket. You
Yeah.
just happy to see Pernell.
You're going to be that. You're going to be that.
How many times did we have like a
damn it.
group of people huddled around a friggin' 11-inch Xbox screen watching Brotato through the weekend?
Brotato?
That's a
Dude,
damn
no
good
people
title.
in that thing.
Rotated up a lot.
Yeah, I got my
How
first.
long did it end up taking to download Ninja Gaiden, by the way?
Oh my god! It took like the following day. It finally finished.
Oh, you tried to download it at Mag?
Yeah,
Oh,
we were
yeah.
guessing on the shitty Wi-Fi.
Oh, God. You could have placed bets on that.
It was 86 gig
That's so crazy.
on hotel Wi-Fi.
They probably sound the alarm. These guys are downloading like crazy. What the hell are they doing?
Well, see, those fuckers tried to charge us $15 a night for internet access, or it's free if you're a Bonvoy member. Guess who signed up for Bonvoy when I was trying to get a room extended over the holidays? So I had a Bonvoy membership, logged in, and I milked that internet. I had that shit going all the time. Had stuff downloading.
Stop all the downloading.
I was just about to say that, except
Help computer.
we are over 41.
We are.
Hey, Do you still have the actual video files of those like downloaded because YouTube didn't exist yet when you watched them?
Penciler films?
I don't, but I have a friend who downloaded all those PSAs and he put them on his Plex server, so it's just like us own directory, like G.I. Joe PSAs.
Yeah. I have that on a hard drive that almost doesn't work. So I need to, but I'm fine with letting it go. But I did download those before
Joe,
there was a
Penciler
YouTube.
Films. Alien boat, body massage, breakdance, burp contest, campfire, car crash, carnival, a lot of them. I got them all.
I one that was only like 6 seconds long and it was a kid falling off the cliff.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe. That one's just called
Pond.
I think my favorite one is still, oddly enough, the one where the woman's like, "Hey, have you seen my purse?"
Dying for a cigarette right now.
It's one of those. It's definitely like if you really need to like test out a room, real quick to find out if it's the right age group and vibes, then just yell out pork chop sandwiches. People will respond.
Oh shit!
My friends still throw out.
Oh, yeah, here.
We still throw out. Last one, there's a penis pump.
Body massage.
Nice catch, Blanco Nino. It's too bad your ass got sad.
God, it's just a weirdly good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I almost missed that era of the internet when there was not enough out there for you to get overwhelmed with trying to keep up with all the cool entertainment. But you also always felt that you could see every good thing that was out there. So you were always a part of it. You were never overwhelmed. It didn't become your freaking existence just watching YouTube clips over and over.
I was going to say, when you're on dial-up, it's kind of hard to be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You're struggling every day just to get whelmed.
Yeah.
Not to get whelmed.
I mean, I will say,
like monitors, 4 streams going, 10 different programs.
Yeah, I know. I've got 2 other streams on my tabs right now, in fact. But anyways, it was, I felt like there was a little bit more, maybe it's just being younger at the time or something, but it felt like with it not being as overwhelming, like you'd see something and you would kind of get a little more inspired and be like, I feel like I can make something and, I want to do something. And it's like nowadays it's like, I'm going to do content as a side project and, like all this other stuff. I don't know. It felt different, the inspiration, I think, back then versus now.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest one is like the level of saturation.
Yeah.
Because back then, I mean, there were a handful of pioneers that were really in it to win it, and now it's like hard not to be derivative as fuck.
Right. And I mean, I guess that's kind of like wheels back around to that MAGFest thing. It's like, when it was small, it was special. But now it's kind of like, it's
everywhere.
We were into MAGFest before it was cool.
Right.
Pretty much. Yep.
But it's like, nowadays, I think stuff doesn't even get to be cool for like a minute. It's like, this is the new uncool thing we all have to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Well, the internet nowadays has the attention span of a gnat, so.
Yeah, and plus we're on a podcast that's now like getting into its second hour, and so if anybody is listening to this, I guess they automatically agree with me.
By default.
Body massage.
Body massage machine.
Oh, good one.
What do you say?
No.
Give him
All
the
right,
stick.
I guess we'll wrap this up.
Don't give him the stick.
Our friend B-Drop
the Hydronaut dude.
Our friend B-Drop made a remix of the one video where the kid's like, man. If you hear the clip, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Because I have nothing better to do with my life. But we do have to wrap up the Mag and Anniversary talk. We have a lot of reviews that we need to tackle. Who's heading out?
I'm going to dip out.
Me too.
Right.
No, just kidding. Just gotta sneak out with everyone.
Chris saw the door for a second.
Well, Scott, we will let you get going first. Thank you so much for joining us and hanging out. Where
Thanks for
can people keep up to date with you and what you're doing?
I have a record label, Peribang Records. That's where all my projects are. So just go on there, and whenever I feel like updating it, I'll throw up a blog about MAGFest, and you can relive the shenanigans we just talked about, basically.
Heck yeah.
All right. Have yourself a good one.
All right, take care.
Peace.
Later, dude.
Bye.
Ian, you sticking around or are you heading out?
Yeah, I can stick around.
Cool. Grant, you sticking around or you heading out?
I'm heading out. I
Cool.
have to survey the lands. Can I share some news that just dropped today?
Yes.
We have a new. I did a soundtrack for a new Breakout game. The Atari Breakout Beyond trailer dropped today.
Wait, you did the music for that?
I did.
Cool.
Not for the trailer though. Interesting music for the trailer. I see why they went banger, but mine's more of like a progressive lo-fi kind of zen out soundtrack. But I'm working on the soundtrack for that. I'm not exactly sure the release date, but that's fun that got announced. I had no idea it was going to be announced today.
Definitely
So
gonna
that's
check
cool.
that one out because Breakout's like my favorite Atari game.
Yeah, if you're a fan of Breakout, there is plenty of Easter eggy cool goodness, and it's like it's modernized and there's power ups, but it's not Arkanoid. It's definitely its own thing. So check that out.
Yeah, I mean I love Arkanoid too, so it's no problem.
So do I.
Yay!
Yay! And I'm doing the mixes right now for the Super Strikers and Stemage Arcadian sets from MAGFest. So by the time this goes live, bless you. By the time this goes live, those might be on the internet. So feel free to check those out as well. That's
Very cool. Do you have any tracks you could slide us to play on the show?
I don't think so, but I will soon.
Well, then we'll play some from the Arcadian.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, do that.
Do it.
But I will have the goods for you soon.
Cool beans. Grant, have yourself a good one, and we will chat with you soon.
Y'all too. Good chatting. See you guys.
Later, bro.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Bye.
All right, we ready to get into reviews?
Sure.
Finally.
Also,
Let's
that
do
Heir
it.
Apparent song didn't sound familiar at first, but the further it went in, the more it sounded familiar. So I think I've heard that one before.
You may have.
It was good regardless.
Yeah. All right, first game to talk about tonight. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, developed and published by KOEI TECMO Games, released January 23rd on Series X and S, PS5, and PC for $49.99. Take on the role of Ryu Hayabusa, a ninja who inherited the legendary Dragon Sword and takes on battles across the world in this graphic remaster of the popular high-speed ninja action title that returns after 15 long years. Pernell, tell us about your time with Ninja Gaiden 2 Black.
Well, thanks for that. I didn't realize it was 15 damn years. Jesus
No,
Christ.
That's longer than the space between it and the original Ninja Gaiden.
Jesus. Oh, it hurts.
The original Ninja Gaiden 2, in fact.
So while that information absolutely hurts, almost destroys my soul, I think it's reasonable to say that the game itself did not do that unless you factor in the difficulty, because that part did. Though there are ways to mitigate that should you choose to do so. New to this version of the game, I did not. But I'll talk about that in a little bit too, I guess. So in this game, you play as Ryu Hayabusa. I think it's safe to say I didn't give two hoots much about the narrative. I knew I was trying to stop an evil ninja clan from releasing an archfiend demon. There were NPCs and my dad and a couple of other things. But unlike for some reason, it's weird when you think about it. The original Ninja Gaiden was known or well known for the fact that it introduced like cinematic elements to NES gameplay. And you got really caught up in that because of that. But some reason I didn't care in this game. What I cared about was kicking ass. And I can say as a person who's been inundated with more methodical action adventure games, this game brought me back to something I hadn't touched on in a very long time. And that is very visceral, very brutal, large-scale combat with multiple enemies. When you are fighting enemies in this game, they don't hold back. They don't wait for you to calm down on one of their friends before they take a shot. They jump you straight up. And from as much as the very first combat, it's very possible that you could die in the first fight in the game. It's very possible. The game is generous with you, though, in that regard, where once the battle is over, it does replenish your health to a certain extent. So it's reasonable there. Combat in and of itself, however, is taking place in the form of you having ability to kind of move your character around. You have a light attack and a heavy attack. And of each weapon you have, of which there are many you'll find throughout the course of the game, you can string together a series of button combinations, the occasional tap forward while hitting the button, and so on and so forth to perform a multitude of combos. You may find yourself unable to concentrate in the midst of chaos to perform meticulous combos, but they're there if you want to do them. You may well exploit a couple specifically once you learn how great they are. But for the most part, they give you a lot of versatility in how you engage enemies. As you progress through the game, you'll also come across scrolls that will teach you additional moves and abilities to up your arsenal, such as the ability to kind of wind flip over an enemy, grab him by the neck, and launch him across the screen. While you are fighting enemies, you will occasionally start to delimb and dismember them. Doesn't mean you kill them, just means you dismember them. And at this point in time, you might think in a typical lesser game that, well, the guy lost both of his legs. What more is he going to do? I'm going to focus on his buddies now while he's just kind of crawling around like a chump. But you want to run up on them and use Y to decapitate and finish the job as soon as you can, because enemies in that state are extremely desperate, and they will take extreme measures to do extreme damage to you. My most favorite types in the general sense is like a ninja who lost both of his legs will be crawling across the ground, and then he'll just kind of push off the ground with his hands, grab onto you, and explode while he's grabbing you. And that hurts like hell. And most of the enemies have some form of desperation attack too, so be mindful of that kind of thing. As you are fighting enemies, you'll gain finances in the form of like yellow essence, which can be spent at a store in the game that shows up as a way of various lantern posts thrown throughout levels, where you can buy healing and recovery items and also spend money to upgrade the weapons in your arsenal. Weapons have 3 levels, and by upgrading the weapons, I'm not sure if they physically become more powerful, though I assume they do, but I definitely know that they unlock additional combo upgrades and the like to make them more versatile and useful in combat. What was my favorite? Knock them out.
Typical cat behavior.
That's right. They hear a Ninja Gaiden review and they lose their ever-loving minds. I don't know what the deal is with that.
Well, it's an Ninja Gaiden. I don't blame them.
That is true. It does freak people out. The game itself has a number of levels to it, and each level has generally one or more bosses at the end of it. And bosses, depending on your difficulty, I guess, can either be a reasonable challenge, which is kind of what I've experienced, though I'd imagine that the hardcore difficulties will have you pulling your hair out while you fight them. I was honestly surprised by the fact that while I was getting my butt kicked by enemies in more than a few cases, I never felt down and out. Like, I felt like I had a chance. And when I lost, I felt like, well, one more chance and maybe I'll get it. And even if that took a couple tries to pull off officially, I never felt like I did, say, for example, in the first Ninja Gaiden, when I played it before they were all black and Sigma, where I had ever bosses where I was like, I don't know what the hell you're supposed to do here. This dude's impossible. I didn't get that feeling.
Die. That's what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, but I don't want to die. I want to live. I want to live, damn it. But yeah, like I worked my butt off to win those battles. In this game, you do work, but maybe I've gotten older and better at games or something, but I felt more capable despite the fact that they do not mess around in combat. There are other characters you can play as in the game on like side missions, like a couple like bonus levels where it's like you fulfill challenges and the like, and they come with their own move sets and such. They're not as good as say Ryu is, but then again, Ryu is the main character. The game being built around him. These guys are more like bonus characters to play around with to give you a little bit of versatility, but they're still awesome to play as. Just got to actually utilize them when you can. But I feel like they give you enough weapons and enough variety in the usage of those weapons that Ryu himself may as well be like 6 different characters, which is awesome in its own right there. So, because, a lot of times in the game, you'll get a new weapon and the weapon's just like, okay, you have different, stats like higher attack or lower defense or something. But in this game, every weapon comes with its own unique move set. And you will find yourself coming up with a favorite weapon and sticking specifically with that for the sake of combat. So, like, even though I found weapons that were new, I would tinker with them for a bit. And then ultimately, when I was in the clutch, I'd always go back to the Lunar Staff because that thing was just a beast. Blunt, powerful. It had a really cool drop move, and it did a lot of wide arching damage for enemies to keep them off your back. Just freaking good. Though it should not have been as strong as a freaking bladed sword. I don't know what that was about, but whatever. I digress. Joe said he's back yet because those cats must be really throwing the hell down.
I've been here. I'm just sitting here listening to you talk.
You bastard! I was stretching it.
Oh,
it was like,
sorry.
so Ryu's last name is Hayabusa. He's a member of the Hayabusa clan. Did you know his favorite color is black? It's in the title.
I thought you would have noticed by me sitting at my desk, but I forgot you don't watch the stream.
See?
Yeah.
Tisk. Unique.
I
have a question. I accept that happily. Question: You mentioned that there are ways to combat the difficulty.
Yes, thank you. I would have totally forgot to mention it. So they
that's
added
the important thing for me.
Oh yeah. So there are like 3 difficulties, all of which are hard, harder, and hardest. But there's an additional difficulty they added at the bottom, which I'll admit I didn't do a ton. I didn't really do anything with it because I was like, fuck that. But it's called Hero Mode, and I can't remember. I wish I could remember off the top of my head. This is like something that Joe could probably find in like 2 seconds on like the freaking store website. But from what I recall, Hero Mode pretty much makes the game makes you damn near invincible in the sense to make it like a more of a like you're the hero of the story mode where you just kind of blitz it more so. And they added it specifically to this version of the game. It wasn't in the original Ninja Gaiden 2. And I believe there was a Ninja Gaiden 2 Sigma, maybe? I don't know. No, there was. I think there was. And that one probably didn't have it either because, again, everything I read, it was new to this game. So it's more accessible to you. Now, I'm not going to guarantee that you might not get hit by an enemy and killed once or twice or something, but they made the game around the idea that you should be able to finish it now.
Okay, so it's just an extra difficulty mode that makes things a little easier then. Okay.
Like I said, that's why I'm wishing Joe was looking it up right now, because usually he's like, I'm on the ball with this stuff. But I'm almost positive the hero mode itself, like, it's not just enemies are weaker, but they did something else with your character where, like, you're more capable of just straight up surviving and killing things, too.
Hero play style is a mode that provides automatic support in challenging situations, making it accessible for those who may not be confident in their action skills.
The real question is, can you get all the achievements while playing it in that game mode?
Oh, back off. No. That's some fluff. Yeah. Hey, just enjoy the game.
Not in a Ninja Gaiden game. You got to earn that shit in the Ninja Gaiden game.
Earn those achievements, man. You can't be like, can I get the achievements while getting a neutered? No. It's the game. But if you want to play the game and experience the narrative and the Momijis and all that, there you go. You got access to that. But once you're confident, once you felt the blood of the hero flow through your veins and now you're ready to get loose and goosey, it's time to step up and earn them achievements. But the game is fun either way. I think it's a great time. It honestly holds up quite a bit. Again, the game came out. God, I'm not going to say it again. It's old. But aside from, graphical upgrades and like a few tweaks to like the content of the game and like the blood and the enemy spawn types or volume, it's still Ninja Gaiden 2. And it holds up very well. Like it could have been very well been a brand new game today, aside from the crappy camera, which is still present. But what are you going to do? It's still there, but the game holds up and it's a lot of fun. I genuinely recommend it. And I feel as though if you've never tapped into the world of modern day Ninja Gaiden, this would be a fine place to start. And if I remember correctly, I heard someone say that there's a 4th one that got announced, which means you'll have a sequel coming soon.
Ninja Gaiden 4 got announced later on this year for Xbox and PlayStation and PC.
It's been 84 years.
Yep.
Literally.
Crazy thing is, it's published by Xbox. So,
also Microsoft brought it back.
Yeah, they're working with
Or
Team
finance
Ninja to
it
bring
back.
it back, and it's gonna be on. I would assume everything. I'm guessing a Switch 2 version will be in the works as well.
Now, here's a question. Am I misremembering seeing video or imagery of a 2D Ninja Gaiden also?
I think Shinobi's getting a rework.
Maybe I have a Shinobi thing, yeah, because like I'm back in the grind for that. I actually played Ninja Gaiden 1 in MAGFest after someone left the controller on level 6-1. I was like, let me see what I can do. Got to the boss, I was like, screw this crap, I hate this. But But I love Ninja Gaiden. I love the old games. I like the new ones, and this one holds up, and it gets very much a buy it recommendation from me. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Especially now that they added hero mode for the people who don't want to deal with the harder aspects of the game.
Cool. Again, the price is $49.99. If you're worried about that, the game is available on Xbox Game Pass, Game Pass Ultimate. So give it a download, give it a try. See if it's something you want to invest in. But Pernell, again, your official verdict?
It is absolutely a buy it for me.
Cool.
Watch all. No, I'm done.
Next game, SYNDUALITY Echo of Ada, developed and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. Released January 23rd on Series X and S, PS5, and PC for $39.99. SYNDUALITY Echo of Ada takes place in 2222, years after a mysterious poison rain called the Tears of the New Moon wiped out most of humanity and birthed deformed creatures that now hunt the population. Amidst the calamity, humans are forced to build an underground haven to survive. Aki, what is going on in SYNDUALITY Echo of Ada?
Okay, so in this game, you play as insert person here who is joining this group of more or less adventurers, I guess, miners, a mixture between them, that pilot these big mechs with their robot waifu or husbando, and you head out to kill the monsters around and bad bandits, also in mech suits, to find these large crystal structures, break them down, and take them home, because that is the population's energy source. So basically, the game is set between a mech fighting game, more or less, where you run around in this large section of a world, more or less. Later on in the game, if you get high enough level, you actually get access to a second one, but it takes a long time to get that. I didn't get there, and the reasons will be explained very shortly. And you fight against these creatures that show up. They're a majority of them you see will be like these large dog-ish like creatures, but there's also some flying ones and some sandworms that do not fuck around, so just don't. Stay far away from those ones. Don't think I managed to kill a single one, but I did die to it a couple times.
Oh,
and yeah, they're not the sandworms. They do not fuck around. There are, I feel like there's difficulty levels on the map. I don't remember if it's fully shown that there are difficulty levels anymore, but there are enemies that are clearly higher level and like, I don't know, the sandworms. So yeah, once you meet them, you very quickly realize when your gun does no damage to them that probably not a good idea to be in that section. So run. And while you're going around killing these things and breaking down these crystals, you'll find sometimes boxes around that you can get into that have different parts in them and stuff that you can take home and use the resources to build new stuff or upgrade your base, and that will be mentioned in a minute as well. And sometimes you can find where other players have died, because this is a PvPvE area. A majority of players are PvE, and they're fantastic, and they're the best people ever. And they just go around killing monsters and finding crystals, and then they retreat back to their base, and they're the good players. They're the people you want around. And then there's the PvP people who ruin the game. Because here's the thing about this game. If you die, you lose everything that you were carrying. And when I mean everything, I mean all the resources you picked up, all the money you picked up, any ammunition you brought with you for your guns, every piece of your robot even, and the extractor, which you have to have. So let's say you buy new parts for your robot and you got it all pimped out and it, took you like 8, 9, 10 hours to get all the money for this. You die once, it's gone. Time for you to spend another 10 fucking hours remaking all that money to buy all that dog shit all over again. Yay! And yeah, that's, if you think that's fun, then all the glory to you. If you don't, then that ruins the game. Because currently, there's no way to turn off the PvP element. And the thing is, for the PvP element, it's not like, it only activates when you both shoot at each other or something, and it has like significantly reduced damage like you would see in like Fallout 76, where if someone's shooting at you, as long as you don't fire back, they're not doing much damage. No, if it's a sufficiently high enough player, they can kill you in just a couple shots, and that sucks. Because that was the first time I died, and I had the best gear I had available, which was specialty gear that was given because I had the game early, and they gave you a special, really good gear that at least I haven't been able to buy in the store because I haven't found it to appear in the store yet. And I lost all of that, and it took the other player like 2 or 3 shots of their assault rifle. In other words, a lot of bullets really quick. It only took them hitting me a couple times, and I died. I didn't have enough time to run away even. So, that was fun. And then I had to restart with the beginning gear. Thankfully, even if you lose the beginning gear, you can always get it back. It's always 0 money. All the basic crap is 0 money. And then, but once I started that, I died like another 10 or so times that same night because the starting gear kind of sucks ass. And then, once you bring all these resources back to your base, you have base building, and it is every mechanic from a free-to-play game that everyone fucking hates. So you go in there, and it's like, oh, hey, there's multiple levels of all of this stuff, and you have to upgrade all this stuff so you can have access to other things to make the game better. For instance, your base starts off broken and covered with weeds have grown into it and all this other crap. So you have to clean it all up. And then you can start upgrading it to where it actually functions. Like one of them, it gives you the ability to start creating things like health and repair kits and stuff. And you need resources in the world for that. But when you go to repair all this stuff, it's not like I have these items now, and that's what I need to repair this, so let's just repair it, and now I can go do stuff. No, it's, oh, hey, I have this stuff to repair it. Let's click repair. Oh, now I have to wait for 40 minutes for it to actually be done upgrading. Cool, that's what I want to do with my time. Granted, while you're waiting for all of these timers to go down before the repairs are finished, you can go back into the game and start doing stuff. But as you level things up further, it takes longer and longer and longer to repair things. I think the last one I was going to try to do before I kept losing everything over and over and over was going to take like an hour and 35 minutes for the upgrade to finish from when I started. So, the best mechanics from free-to-play games that everyone absolutely loves. Timers for everything. Yay! Even when you're like making like health kits and repair kits and weapons and stuff like that, that all takes time too. So if you're like, I need some repair kits for this next mission, I need to make some. Okay, well, you get to wait while they're made. And when they're finished, cool. Then you have to go in there and collect them. And then you can go equip them. And then you can go into the game. So a lot of this game is waiting. Yeah. However, that being said, with all of that annoying, I hate this mechanics in the game, like losing all of your stuff and having to wait forever and everything costing a lot of money. Because here's the thing, as I said, you lose all your robot parts. All the starting items, other than like the literal beginner's gear, the legs cost 12,000. The arms cost 12,000. The body costs 24,000. Want to know how much you can make in a typical run?
Less than that.
You can make about so much less. You can make about 4,000.
Oh, geez.
So 3 runs to get legs, 3 runs for the arms, and 6 runs for the legs, and you have to hope you don't get killed. Oh, and then any of your weapons, if you don't want to buy but the most basic weak gear, if you want to buy like a +1 item or whatever it's called, that's like 9,000. So that's another 3 runs right there too. And that's if you're picking up the absolute max amount of these crystals that you can find before you run away.
Yeah. So it sounds like this is something that doesn't really respect the player's time.
Not even remotely. This could really be fixed if they, got rid of the timers, because no one likes time. We've paid for the game. Get rid of the timers. That's stupid. No one likes it. And to give us the ability to like turn off PvP or have like servers that are PvP, so the people who want PvP can go in there. Or even if you don't want to create a new server for that, give people the option. If they don't want PvP, when they shoot people, doesn't hurt them. If another player shoots them, even if you're like, well, we want them to still have fun, so they need to be able to destroy stuff, fine. Let them kill us. Don't take away our shit. Ever. Period. Don't do that. Stop that. That is terrible. It is irritating to have to turn around and buy over 50,000 money worth of crap to get back to the point where you were. That's bullshit, and no one likes it. However, combat actually feels nice. I did like actually fighting things. I liked running around the world. Like the actual gameplay part of it, the game was fun until, other players started trying to kill me. I didn't appreciate that. But like going around, hunting the crystals, destroying the AI bots, destroying the little monsters, that's all really fun. I had a lot of fun doing that. It's just every other mechanic really kind of sucks. And there's rain. Occasionally it rains in the world. And you're probably thinking, and so what? Who cares? Well, this rain destroys everything that it touches because it is bastard rain. And the thing is, the rain comes at random and it lasts a random amount of time. You only have so much battery in your robot. So, and each body type that you buy for your robot gives you a different amount of time you're able to stay out. But the starting one's like, I think 23 minutes or something like that. Rain might last for like 5 straight minutes, and then it might disappear, and it might come back immediately after like 20 seconds. But if you're out there, you're taking damage constantly from the rain. So, and there's also large chunks of the map where there aren't structures to hide under. So you might be traveling for like 4.5, 5 minutes in the rain trying to find a structure you can get under so you stop taking damage, only for you to get there and like 10 seconds later the rain stops and you're like, oh, you motherfucker. And then you head out and like not even a minute later you're getting rained on again. Because it's random. It's randomized how long it lasts and when it comes, how long it's paused, all of that's randomized. So you might go in there, get like 10 seconds of rain, and then for the next 20 something minutes, never see another lick of rain again. You might go on a couple runs where there's no rain, and then you might have one run that's like almost exclusively rain, and it blows a lot of donkey dick. Because that rain ain't no joke. It rips through your health real quick. Especially at lower levels. I assume at higher levels when you have real good gear, it just doesn't matter. But man, at lower levels, it hurts. It hurts so bad. And
well, it seems like the verdict for this one is going to hurt a bit. It clocks in at $40. We need a verdict. We need to know what to do with SYNDUALITY. Give us your thoughts.
honestly, right now, I have to say, skip it. The mechanics that are outside of actually just going in really kind of suck. Not being able to turn off PvP and having all the timers, losing all your gear, no matter what kills you, those suck away so much fun out of the game that I can't recommend this. Hopefully they add something in that stops some of that stuff, or at least lessens it significantly. If they removed the PvP and removed us losing our gear, I could deal with the timers. I don't care that much about the timers. But losing all your shit that you worked for, 10, 12, 13 hours on, that blows. So I have to say, for now, it's definitely a deny it. Hopefully they can do some things to it and make it really good and something I'm going to absolutely love. But right now, no.
All right, well, if it gets any significant updates, we'll take another look at it and revisit it. But for now, I guess we're going to have to move on. Next game is Orcs Must Die Deathrap, developed and published by Robot Entertainment, released January 28th on Series X and S and PC for $29.99. Orcs Must Die Deathrap combines chaotic third-person combat with devious trap-laying strategy. Enjoy endless replayability as your war mage grows stronger through roguelite progression, repel relentless orc hordes, solo or with up to 4 players. Andy, tell us about your time with Orcs Must Die Deathrap.
So, as a rookie to the Orcs Must Die series of games, I really feel like, just from what I've seen and played, this one, Orcs Must Die Deathrap, really kicks it up a notch. Not knowing a whole lot about the series, I had to kind of browse a few threads, do my research on the previous games for some comparison. But aside from mixed Steam reviews from nerds who think it's quote-unquote too hard or completely backwards, I had a really good time with this game, honestly. So to inform those who have no idea what I'm talking about, Orcs Must Die Deathrap, simply put, is a third-person tower defense game. You, the player, will spawn in an arena-based environment as one of 6 war mages, each with an arsenal of traps and barricades at your disposal. You will then place to both guide and injure the orc army all these traps. Each war mage ships complete with their own base set of attacks and skills that play into kicking orc buns. The game is wave-based, so between each wave, you will have the opportunity to place more traps, more barricades, switch things up if you need to. You can even sell traps and barricades if those things aren't working out for you where they're at. You earn money between each wave, so with the new money that you've earned from defeating the last group of orcs, you can buy some more traps. So you can just get traps on traps on traps. It's crazy. You can get floor traps. You get wall traps. Guess what, Joe? You get ceiling traps too. It's crazy. Yeah, ceiling traps. That's what I'm talking about. So once a certain amount of waves are defeated, you'll then move on to more difficult challenges where you'll eventually reach a brutal boss level fight. Along with its roguelike elements, each arena has its own specialties like stronger mobs or lack of healing items that also make for a fresh gameplay experience every time you jump into it. Along with the game increasing the amount of players in the online version from 2 to 4, which is pretty cool. A new roguelike element has been introduced to Orcs Must Die Deathrap that wasn't in the previous games. This helps balance and scale the game a little bit differently each run, and allows the player to pick buffs or debuffs for their character, the traps, the enemies, anything pretty much coming your way during the next set of levels. So, and for those complaining that it does a great job of taking the repetitive feel out of a repetitive game. So I really like roguelike elements. It just
You there?
Friends. Oh, did I cut out again?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. What's the last thing you heard?
You really like roguelike elements.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I do really like roguelike elements. All right. So thank you so much. So the game itself adjusts to the amount of players. So as fun as having a full party is, if you're a loser like me and don't have any friends, that's the orcs talking, not me. You can still play the game and enjoy yourself. It's pretty fun. Back at the main hub, in between, going out and kicking orc buns, you can practice your skills with different characters. You can chat with NPCs, and then you'll use points you've earned from battles to upgrade your favorite character, or put them towards an all-inclusive skill tree, complete with critical hit boosts, health upgrades, and trap damages. You can also purchase new traps to add to your arsenal, things like bramble bushes to ensnare enemies, acid showers to clean off that pesky skin of theirs, or my personal favorite, the grinder, which does the same thing to the orcs that you do to your weed grinder at home. You can also upgrade any of these. Turns them into little bits. But you can also upgrade any of these to help with the cost, damage, or you can reset the time in between activations for those traps. Also, since you're in the main hub, why not purchase new thread options to obtain in between rounds and check your quests and stats from previous battles? Orcs Must Die Deathrap, to me, kind of felt similar to like an arena-based shooter, but with more traps and a lot more blood. Again, I'm not too familiar with the series of games, this being the first installment that I've played, but I am pretty familiar with tower defense games, and I do love those. Especially when you get to play online and work together to slay mobs with the boys or the girls, whichever you're into.
I was gonna say, this is my first time playing the Orcs Must Die too. I got to play a little bit of it, and I'm not normally a tower defense person, but I actually enjoyed this.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on it?
I mean, I enjoyed. It felt pretty intuitive as far as, I not knowing how to put out the traps. I just kind of like dove right in. I didn't watch any of the tutorials like you should have. I went in with a friend who knew the series a little bit, and he kind of gave me a couple tips. But it was pretty easy to kind of understand the maps, and figuring out how to place the traps was really easy. And it was trial by fire to really figure out the paths and how hard the orcs were going to hit you from different areas and that sort of thing. But that was half the fun, I think, was figuring all that out. So.
No, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I went totally different, and I've played tower defense games, but I watched every tutorial going into this too. There's like 6 or 7 of them, and I was like, I got time. I got to learn the game real quick. But really, like you said, I mean, you can jump in. It's all pretty like self-explanatory. Like, you see doors on the map. You get kind of the main mini map. You see the doors where all the orcs are coming from. They even have like kind of a blue tracer that shows where the orcs are gonna run to. So if you set a pathway and the pathway doesn't quite work out, they're sneaking through somehow, or they're stuck, which in case they're stuck, they'll just destroy the pathway. They'll destroy the barricade and come right through. But that really helped out, so you could fine tune where all the enemies were going to funnel through. And then from there, just like set traps along their pathway. I mean, it was very easy to set everything up. The hardest part, I would say, is just the amount of waves of enemies and how much health they had and how difficult they were. You get into some of the higher levels and they're tough for sure, especially with a full squad. But yeah, I would say the game has a little bit of slow progression. I mean, that's kind of a typical roguelite, in general. They're not going to give you everything right up front. So, but overall, I mean, the game looks great. It sounded great. It played great. I didn't really have any troubles with controls. I felt like some of the user interfaces were set up a little better for like a mouse and keyboard kind of setup. Because you don't have like a click through option. You just have like a little cursor that goes around. But I mean, aside from that, I thought everything was pretty good on this one.
Well, it clocks in at $30. What are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, with everything checking the boxes, enemies were good, arenas felt good, the roguelike elements. I mean, what more do you want? I thought it was good. Let's get it, dude.
Cool. Bri, your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I enjoyed it. This is a really good price.
And if you're worried about the price, it is available on Game Pass Ultimate. So if you have that, give it a download, give it a go.
Pick it up.
All right, next up, Blade Chimera, developed by Ladybug or Team Ladybug and WSS Playground, published by Playism and WSS Playground, released January 16th on Switch and Steam for $19.99. Explore dark and sinister Osaka as the demon hunter Shin. Battle demons, regain lost skills, and uncover the truth of your forgotten past in this exciting occult-inspired cyberpunk Metroidvania. Pernell, your favorite word? Tell us about this one.
Yeah, we all know that's not my favorite word. but Blade Chimera. Anyway, so Blade Chimera has you playing as a character who works for an organization who is tasked with destroying, or rather just killing demons on site, because demons are evil and humans are not evil. And your main character is well known as being quite good at what he does, murking demons. Until one day, he has a weird encounter with a sword that is a sentient demon. And they team up, which leads to a lot of conflict in what he believed his worldview to be. But this plays out in the form of exploring a really cool futuristic city, fulfilling various missions for your organization and side missions as well as the main missions, and combating and murking monsters ad nauseum. How do you do that? Well, you have a variety of things at your disposal. You have 2 arms, which can hold one, each can hold a weapon. So you have 2 weapons you can have at any given time, and there are melee weapons of various types, like swords and staves and larger swords and whips, etc. But there are also firearms you can equip as well. And they all have their own fire, like their own firing rate, their own power levels, and the like, and the way they swing or, launch their attacks. You can equip them to whichever arm you prefer, which is kind of nice because you might want to make a gun your main weapon as opposed to your melee weapon. So if that's the way you want to play, then boom, you're good. When it comes to firearms, you can hit the firearm button, which brings up aiming cursor. And though I never quite mastered this because it can be annoying at times, you can use the cross pad to aim the gun while holding down the attack button, but it's not like a sort of infinite timing. It just, you get a couple seconds and boom, it's just launching the bullets. So you're firing your shots. I never got particularly good at precision with that thing, but I was able to be good enough at it to kill things as needed. You have a limited amount of ammo, but once the ammo runs out, the game will reload for you, and then boom. So what I should have probably stated that is to say you have unlimited ammo, but you have a clip. That's the best way to put it. When the clip expires, you'll reload eventually, and then you're back to firing, but you don't have to worry about buying bullets. Your last main weapon is actually the demon sword you find itself, Lux. She starts out with the ability to be thrown at enemies, and upon contacting with them, she'll do damage. In addition to that, though, as you do damage to them, you'll actually absorb HP from them to heal yourself, which is a pretty useful tool in this game. In addition to that, you can launch the sword to the ground to create a barrier for yourself that will absorb and destroy projectiles for you. Enemies that walk into the barrier will also take damage. You can throw the sword into a wall and then use it as a platform to pull yourself up, which is also pretty freaking nice. Though, I guess I shouldn't say pull yourself up because you have to land on it. Unless you throw the sword into the wall while you're directly kind of like aligned with it in the center, then you'll pull yourself onto it. But otherwise, you got to land on it. And you can also use it to, like, the swing from like hook ledges, so like a swinging mechanism. As you kill enemies, you'll eventually level up. And leveling up will get you skill points, which you can use to upgrade your character on a fairly limited skill tree, but it still contains a number of useful abilities such as like double jumps, like air dashes and slide attacks, slide maneuvers. In fact, once you look at the skill tree, if you're anything like me, you're going to just specifically focus on getting those abilities before you even care about anything else because, mobility, the access areas is what you want most. As you play the game, you'll acquire money or finances, which can be spent at the store in your main base to buy new armor and weapons, or you can spend it at various vending machines you come across to purchase healing items. Though the funny thing about that is, you'd be surprised how rarely you'll even need healing items, because by having that life-absorbing demon sword, you'll just steal your life from your enemies. Why drink a cola when you can get demon cola for free? And quite frankly, I exploited the hell out of it, especially once I got the ability to let the sword spin in a circle, like kind of float out there and spin, kind of like that weird Mega Man weapon in the Mega Man 4 fan game. But it was a beautiful attack, and I just started using it to spam HP heals over and over again. The sword itself does run on its own energy gauge, but it's not particularly difficult to refill it. There's like little items on the on certain areas of the game where you can kind of break them and get a massive boost in it. You get a boost on it when you go to a save point, and I want to say when you kill a certain number of enemies, you'll also get enemies. It'll just heal over time as well. So for the most part, you can run out, but you'll never be without it for long, to the point where you'll never be crippled by being low on demon sword energy. Bosses aren't particularly challenging, but the bosses are fun to fight against. And I should also mention one aspect of the sword's abilities I completely forgot, but it does make boss fights pretty cool from time to time. And that is the sword's ability to rewind time on certain objects and replace that what was once there. So, for example, you might be fighting a boss and you're on a series of platforms. The boss decides to blow two of the platforms up. Well, now you can use the sword's ability to rewind time specifically for that instance and place platforms back where they were originally destroyed from, and use them to save your bacon when fire comes down or you need to jump on top of them. There's a number of things like this in the game where you're restoring objects or removing objects even to make yourself able to traverse areas that were blocked off. I think it's a pretty cool mechanic. In fact, I would say the entire game is pretty cool. Oh, another thing worth mentioning, because again, I just keep noting cool things about this game. It did a really good job of respecting the player's time, because very early on, you can purchase an upgrade that will let you warp to almost any square on the map. Not nodes, square. So if you're like, hey, there was a bonus item on that exact spot on the map, you can warp there. In fact, I used the warping ability, whether it was intentional or not, I don't know. But I used the warp ability to cheese sections and skip sections of the map that you weren't supposed to pass over. Until maybe something else happened. I was like, nah, maybe if I warp to that spot, it'll just put me on the other side of the barrier. Boom, it did. So it may even be an actual mechanic that's intended to be used to progress through the game. I just think it's a really nice feature. There are areas where you can't directly warp to them, but considering the fact that you can warp to most of the places in the game, that's freaking awesome. So highly recommended for that alone. And one downside I can see to the game, but it didn't necessarily hinder me liking my time with the game, is the fact that the sword is extremely useful, specifically the demon sword. And I rarely felt like I needed to experiment with weapons. Instead, I was just like demon sword, a gun, and a sword. Or let me rephrase that, the whip. And I just kind of went ham until I found a weapon that was just really powerful, and I switched to that. But for the most part, I just used the sword to spam and get heals, and also for the defense wall when projectiles were coming, and then just like fired bullets and used whatever weapon I had equipped. I wasn't particularly jazzed about caring about specific things. Same for healing items. I guess they could come in handy in an absolute pinch, but my brain didn't even think like that. Instead, all I thought of was, crap, I'm low on health. Time to steal some. I just kept throwing the sword at people to get my health back. So healing items even aren't particularly necessary. They might be if that's your play style, but the game is designed in a way where a number of the things the game offers you may not need or care about. But I don't think that makes the game bad. The game is still very much enjoyable, and I think it's worth your time. I'm not going to go so ham as to give it a buy it, because I know a lot of people in this genre specifically are like, I want deep customization, and I want a multitude of different items to equip or whatever. That makes me feel like I'm a badass compared to my friend who's not a badass. But I do believe this game is still very much worth your time to give it a try. If you're okay with just taking on like a bit of a Metroidvania with a slight that's a little different from the norm, but doesn't reinvent the wheel, I think this game is worth your time.
Well, it clocks in at $19.99. Give us your thoughts.
I think it's a bona fide solid try, potentially knocking on the door of buy it. So take that as it will.
Well, if you're looking at this on Steam, there's actually I don't know how long it's lasting, but there's a bundle of this and Bloodstained for $24.
Oh, that's an easy get. If you don't have Bloodstained already, and getting both of these together, that's a buy it.
Yeah, so check Steam and see if that deal is there for you. But next game, we got to move on. Next game is Dragon Takers, developed by Vanguard, published by KECMO, released January 24th on Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, PS5, PC for $14.99. The Dragon Army marches ever closer to total conquest of the world. The once mighty nations stand divided, each struggling in isolation as their lands fall one by one under the growing shadow of the army. Amid the chaos, a young man named Helio faces his end in a vicious dragon attack. However, just as hope fades, a mysterious power awakens within him. Chris, what is this mysterious power?
What is it? Yeah, so this is a KECMO RPG. Great first, time back in a while type of game to review for me. However, this is a Vanguard KECMO game, and I'm not even sure I've reviewed anything that they've done. It's very, very hard to look this team up on the internet. So I was just trying to do it, and I couldn't really find many things on them. So that's just how it goes. I'm gonna try one more time. Anyways, so Dragon Takers, yes, it's different. That's always a good thing. Yeah, this is the only game matched with Vanguard on Steam, so that's good enough for me. For one, it's a new KECMO game, so that's great. The newer the better when it comes to KECMO RPGs, because they always feature little incremental growth, but that's again with their popular mainstay developers like XCreate and Hitpoint. So those games, they're very different from each other, but also kind of similar. But they're very 16, 32-bit RPG type things that they have a specific set of rules that you can expect them to follow, and this one does follow a few of them, but it is a new thing, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, I guess I'll just get into it. Yeah, you play as a male protagonist. There's one rule that it's following, named Helio, who is the biggest loser in the world. So in the world that you occupy, by the way, it opens with a text scroll, just saying there was a war between these two things. Yeah, that's very typical of KECMO games too. Just kind of opening it up on the lore, just text. But anyways, yeah, so you get introduced to your hero. So in this world, everybody has skills. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, or how you live, as long as you love me. Everybody has a skill, at least one, maybe two. Some people are farmers. Some people are, I don't know, good at combing cats or something like that. I don't know. Some people are particularly charming on the internet. I don't know. Anyways, Helio is the one guy that has a reputation towns-wide, not just in his hometown. People know him in other towns as being the one guy who has no skill whatsoever. He tries to do stuff. He's a little manky about it. He's a little downtrodden, and people like him, but they're just how is it that you've gotten to the ripe old age of 16 and a half or however old he is, not having any skills in life? How is this even possible? And he's I don't know, womp womp. And so he's taking his daily abuse, doing a menial task that he's not good at, and suddenly monsters attack, blah blah blah, and he and his friend Melina, who is a attractive mage. Everybody in this game's attractive. Actually, I'll get to that. But they get into a fight, and he gets into the first fight he's ever been in his whole life. And in this fight, when he attacks the enemy, he learns fire breath. And people are like, whoa, wait a minute. Only monsters can use that skill. Humans can't even use that. And this is like a place where magic freaking exists. So like, what are you doing learning this monster skill that's like even more powerful than human skills? He's like, I don't know. I just attacked him and suddenly I know this thing. And they're like, oh, okay. So the reason he's a blank slate is because anytime he attacks an aggressive other being physically, these are very specific rules. Like they actually explore this. Has to be something that wishes to do him harm or he wishes to do harm. He has to attack it physically and he will steal its skill. And so he then becomes the potentially most powerful person in the world because he can steal any skill. So that launches him on a little adventure. Also, his childhood friend, a female deuteragonist, gets kidnapped. Of course, we're again following the rules here. But in going after her, that propels him into a career of fighting things and taking their skills and equipping those skills, and then kind of like building himself up that way. For the rest of the game, and of course being joined by increasingly more and more attractive female companions, who I don't know may or may not end up all being love interests. That's kind of how it goes. Yeah, that actually happens a lot in KECMO games. But yeah, the art style in this one is a little different than the KECMO thing, except for the text. It's the exact same text that's in every XCreate game. So I was a little confused. I was like, well, they got something from XCreate. Maybe this is just like a text pack that's in RPG Maker or something. I don't know. But the characters look a little like the on-screen sprites look a little squattier, a little more like old Final Fantasy-esque than being like the kind of tall Suikoden-esque sprites. Clearly some different art style went into it. Lots more attention went into making the environments like kind of pop. For one, they've got cool environmental effects. So if you're out in the woods, there's leaves blowing around. If you're in a town that's on fire, which of course you will end up in a town that's on fire. It's an RPG after all. Then there's cinders and like little sparks flying around and things like that. It's like actually pretty cool looking. And then the character art, they just like went out of their way to make all of these people just like anime gorgeous. Doesn't matter who they are, good guy or bad guy, everyone is just a absolute babe on this in this video game. And they have that thing, I don't know what it's called, but you see it sometimes in visual novels, other RPGs, where they're character portraits, but they're doing a standing animation. So they're kind of weaving back and forth while talking and stuff. And it doesn't like, it's just like a thing to add a little bit of liveliness to it. But yeah, basically you've got your like characters like swaying and stuff the whole time they're talking. And it's, it's very interesting. But yeah, that's a bit of like Dragon Taker. So the like I said, it's different. The other way in which it's different is mechanically. So KECMO, XCreate, and and Hitpoint both have like a few different things that they do, and it's you acquire skills through leveling up, and like every character in this game does, except for your main guy. Your main guy has this effect, and it's very much like blue magic, and it's like blue magic mixed with mug in any Final Fantasy game. So he can steal his skills from enemies by attacking them physically, which of course means he can't use his other skills until he's gotten that. And it kind of gets you into a thing of like, well, I can't destroy this enemy right away. I have a 20% chance of learning, heal from him or something. So I got to keep whacking away with the hero, and then kind of have everybody else on the backline support. Yeah, it keeps you engaged. And then once you do learn it, that enemy's toast for the rest of the game. You just go after him. The game also, interestingly, has 2 levels of difficulty, easy and normal. I'm sure there's a hard mode that can come up later. And no DLC. There is no way to pay to win in this game. There's no lottery system. There's not even... I have not yet come across like a shop to buy armor or weapons. They all come from treasure chests and enemy drops, and I'm sure that there's something that's going to come up, but it's like, it's very much a game that you kind of play. Like, you don't actually just sit there and game it with different, like, there's only one currency, man. Like, so it's like very different there. Like I said, a KECMO RPG that doesn't allow you to purchase additional things is pretty serious. But and the presentation of it, of course, goes into first-person mode, which is like hit point, very much reminiscent of Dragon Quest, Earthbound, those kind of games. And that's kind of how it works. All the information about the enemy is like given right away, like its weaknesses, its it's like things that it can do. Of course, you can always see what skill you can get from it when you're targeting it with the hero. And lots and lots of little information things. Sometimes too much information. In fact, I would say that the big like bummer of this game, and again, this is not untypical of these kind of games, is the menu. I hate the menu. I actually, let me see if I can. I'm gonna do like a silent demonstration, not silent demonstration, but I want to count how many button pushes it takes to equip an item in this game, because it's not insignificant. Okay, so I pull up the menu, and you got status, options, skills, and items. Okay, so equipping stuff is under items. So you select that, which, by the way, is in a corner. It's not the default option. Then it shows your characters in a belt at the top, and then it shows your bag of items and key items over to the right. The way you move it left and right is with the left and right shoulder buttons. So if I'm going to equip a hero with something, I can't just select the hero. I can remove what he's got equipped, but I can't change it to something else. So I have to go R, 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 and then go to my item bag, and then select the item bag, okay? And then, let's see, in the item bag, I can go up and down, look at my list of items. I pick the item that I want to equip, select it, then select equip on the menu that's to the right of it, then select the character with the, not with the right and left shoulder buttons now it's the left and right D-pad. And then I select the character that it will benefit, click it again, then go over and click equip, because cancel is equipped is equipped by default on everything. And then once I do that, now it may be equipped. I can't tell because it goes right back to the menu and doesn't show me, like, unless I hit the R triggers again, I can't tell if that character actually successfully equipped that thing. Repeat for every single item and thing that you get in the game. And you also have to equip skills on your main character, of course, because he has, even though he can learn every move that, in the game, it has to be equipped, and he gains slots as he levels up. So currently, my character has 6 spots that he can equip. To choose what spot you want your skill to go to, you have to press the Y button and then scroll through the list, and it goes back to the top when you get to the bottom. Then you use the D-pad up and down to select the move that you want to put in that slot, and then after you select it, then you have to either use skill or equip skill. This is also how you would use like heal outside of battle. And then once you click equip skill, provided you wanted to do that, then it will go into that slot. So it's just so many button presses for like the menu, when it could just be like, man, just make it a regular menu, guys. But anyway,
it's aggravating.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I wanted to take y'all through it step by step, because I don't think that people will believe me if I just say it's a little irritating. But yeah, other than that, I'm actually very impressed with what this game is bringing to the table. I like the story. The story is maybe the least inventive thing, but maybe that'll change. It does have twists, so I'm expecting like a little bit more. I can't see that there is any currency in the game at all, so it might not even have like a shop system or anything like that. I, again, have not yet come across one. But I like the battle system. I like the challenge. It's actually kind of hard. And again, there's no way to cheat through it. So it's like, I actually kind of appreciate it, having the gall to be a mobile style RPG that actually doesn't, take prisoners. And then, I love the aesthetics. The music is great too. I didn't go into that, but it's got great music. And it's very interesting.
Cool. It's a KECMO game, so it clocks in at 15. What are your thoughts on Dragon Takers?
I would say this is worth checking out. I would give it the same buy it that I would give a good hit point RPG, that's close to the top. Like, my favorites are the hit point RPGs. I like them the most because they have, I don't know, they have the vibe that I really enjoy. And X-Create, I love them when they go out totally into left field, and I like them when they are like completely bonkers, or like kind of have an addictive element to it. Since this game is neither, I can't really compare it to the others as well. All I can say is that it is on its own a very interesting RPG, and that I would recommend fans of the lighter, cheaper RPGs go ahead and pick this one up and see what it's about.
Very cool. I always enjoy the KECMO games, so sounds like Vanguard might have some wrinkles to iron out, but might be a good base.
Yeah, I think that maybe it started as a mobile game. I mean, they usually do. Again, I couldn't really find anything on Vanguard, so maybe it was already a mobile game. And I could see where it being a mobile game, like those having a touchscreen like interface may help it. But yeah, they need to fix, they probably won't, but they do need to fix that up because but the game doesn't have like touchscreen, it doesn't have touchscreen-ness to it. Like,
weird.
It looks like it should, but it doesn't. I mean, none of them do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
They just have that aesthetic.
On a Switch.
Yeah. No, they never bother with that. I think there was one or two maybe, but I don't really remember. Anyway,
next game to talk about is Cuisineer, developed by BattleBrew Productions, published by XSEED, released January 28th on Series X and S, Switch, and PS5 for $29.99. A super cute and tasty roguelite flavored dungeon crawler. Explore a lush world and defeat monsters with your trusty spatula and some boba tea. Then gather delicious ingredients and bring them home to cook and serve at your restaurant. Aki, tell us about your time with this one.
Okay, so in this, you play as a young woman, and she has been an adventurer, but she has gotten a letter from her parents telling her, hey, we need you back right now. So she rushes back to find the place empty. And she doesn't know where her folks are. So she decides, well, I guess I need to keep this place going since they're not here. And she quickly realizes that her folks called her back in such a hurry, not because anyone was dying or sick or in danger, but because they went on vacation and they wanted her to take over the business while they're gone. Oh, and maybe kind of sort of pay off the obscene amounts of debt that they keep racking up. Because, great parents are great. And yeah, basically in this game, you are either getting new stuff for your shop, expanding the shop, or you're out in dungeons hunting things and making some monies. As you play through them, you can go through numerous levels of dungeons. They are fairly long, actually. You have a very limited inventory. I think it's something like 10 items or 20 items, something like that, which sounds like a decent amount until you're like, oh yeah, I've went down like 10 floors now and everything drops something for me to pick up. Even things like breaking rocks and cutting down some of the trees and stuff for upgrades or items that you can give that to the crafter to make like chairs or new tables, stuff like that. So you even have to pick up that stuff instead of just the stuff the monsters drop, which you can use to cook with. And everything, I think, gets a stack of 30, I think, is what it is for the most part. There are some items that get a smaller stack, but most everything, I think, is a stack of 30. So your room runs out really quick. There are a couple boss rooms throughout the dungeons where you fight a specialty large version of some of the basic creatures in there, and they drop special stuff that you can only get from them. Sometimes enemies will even drop accessories or weapons, armors, stuff like that. All of them end up having some cooking aspect to it. Like there's salt and pepper shaker gauntlets that you can use that season enemies when you punch them. There's ones that skewer stuff. There's ones that cook things, stuff like that, which is, it's really funny. It doesn't actually do anything to any of the items that you're picking up, but it's just really funny. And then once you get out of the dungeons, you bring all your stuff back and you store it because it does go bad if you leave it out. So you store it and then you cook it either that day or the following day and make as much money as you can. Because after a very short period of time, suddenly a guy shows up and is like, hey, you need to pay us or we're going to take your shop because your parents, they racked up quite a debt and we're here to collect. So now you have to pay it off. Yay! The fun thing about this game is after you pay off the first debt, your parents have decided they're going to a new area on their vacation, and they've proceeded to rack up another debt that you also have to pay off, which is significantly larger than the first debt. And then you pay off that debt. And boy, wouldn't you know it, your parents are assholes. They've done it again.
So basically, your parents are playing Animal Crossing. There's always a loan to pay off. Yep. They are forcing the kingdom to become Tom Nook. They're horrible people. And so a lot of your time is spent going to the dungeon. I found a lot of it was I was going around breaking trees and rocks and stuff to collect stuff in order to expand my building and create new items in it, like tables and chairs, so people could sit down and eat for a couple days. And then I would go in and get just a whole ton of different items from the monsters, so I could cook a bunch of stuff and store that and do that for a few days. And then I would cook. And the more chairs you have available, the more people are going to show up. And I would just get the best priced items I could, and I just make a whole shit ton of that and put that out for people because they'll only buy what you have available. So I would get rid of everything that didn't make just the best items. I just wouldn't collect them. So I'd only get the stuff that made the best high priced things. So that's all they could order. And then everyone would be coming in. You know, I might get like 30, 40 people in, and the only thing I'm selling is the high priced items. So that's what they buy. And it's fantastic. And I did that to such a point that there's actually an achievement for paying off the first debt the exact same day that you're told that the debt exists. It's something like 10,000 money in game. And I blew past it and then went to the dungeon, got some more items, came back, was told about the next one the very next day. And I had enough stuff and the money from the first day that I paid that off on the first day too. So yeah, it was great. And you end up unlocking, I think, 5 or 6 different places, different dungeons that have their own monsters in it, their own environmental problems, different things that you can pick up from them. So you do eventually need to move on. I mean, you can beat through at least a good chunk of the game just by going into the basic dungeon, realistically speaking, because they're like, oh, you have to pay this debt within a certain time period or we're going to take away this place, but they don't ever take it away. So if it takes you, 100 runs, which is 100 in-game days, then, hey, it is what it is. No one really cares. So you can pay all of that off. And then after that, there ends up being some sort of tournament, which I didn't get to, that you need to win. And I assume for that, you probably do actually need to get different ingredients because they actually want you to create things instead of just the basic, most expensive item from the first dungeon. They actually want you to make new things. You also,
when you're in town, when you're in your shop area, you can pick up side quests from the people who live in your village. And some of them are like, oh, I need some of this item. Can you get it from the dungeon from me? Or they'll want a actual specific type of meal to be created in a certain amount. Some of them, it's only like, I want this because it reminds me of home. Can you make something like this? And other times it's like, I need like 10 of these real quick. Can you make them, please? And yeah, in response to doing that for people, they will typically give you a brand new recipe that you can use to further increase how much stuff you can make and sell. And some of those are pretty decent because they'll give you a lot of money. But most of them also require you to get a whole bunch more items. So it's great fun. And yeah, it's not a particularly difficult game. There is some time management to be done when you're doing the cooking, because a good chunk of that time is like you'll set something up saying, hey, I'm selling this and this. And that's what I'm selling today. So people come in, they sit down, they take a little bit, they order whatever they want. You have to go cook that thing after they ordered it and then bring it to them before they decide to just leave. And then afterwards, they will go pay, but they don't go to the counter where you're making all the food and stuff. They go to another little pay box, and you have to be there to take the money from them as well. So you have to run around between all these things a lot. Also, some people will decide that they're just going to be little bastards and run off without paying you, and you have to go catch them before they leave, or else they're just gone. Well, that all the resources you used for that, you get nothing for now.
Well, it sounds like it's a good blend of genres. Is it balanced well? How does it feel overall?
Think so. I think it's really fun. I actually thoroughly enjoyed my time with this. The characters' interactions every time they heard about what was happening was pretty hilarious. So I thoroughly liked how they interact with people. I really like the combat. It's pretty basic, but it's also fun. The actual restaurant part wasn't too complicated. It didn't require like, oh, I have to like pay super close attention. Yeah. In general, I just like when people didn't want to pay, they ran off. I didn't care because I was making so much money. It just didn't matter to me. But like, it wasn't like, oh my God, I have to go deal with this person or they're going to leave. But if I leave to go deal with them, this thing's going to burn and it's going to ruin everything. And this other person could, no, it was a lot more laid back than that. So if you like Played Up or any of those types of games where you have to cook and then deliver food, I think this is very much for you. It's a much easier or simplistic version of that has some fun dungeon delving combat in it. So, yeah, cool. I really like the game. I totally suggest it.
Clock's in at $29.99. Give us your verdict.
I'm 100% for this game. I think most people will enjoy this.
Cool. All right, next game, Professor Dr. Jetpack. Developed and published by Roflcopter, Inc. Released January 16th on Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, PS5 for $9.99. Professor Dr. Jetpack is a physics-based pixel art precision platformer in which you embark on a dangerous journey to control your jetpack. Bri, what is Professor Dr. Jetpack?
Well, first I have to say that when I first saw the description of the game, I thought, oh, this is going to make me rage. Because a very long time ago, I played another game with jetpack physics called Solar Jetman. The game that has the distinction of being the first time I ever returned a game to the store because I felt like it was totally unplayable. And it was the first.
The NES Solar Jetman?
Yes.
That one's fun.
And that was the first game to make Tiny Me rage at its pixels. Thankfully, this is not that game. You are Billy Bob Danger, a circus performer who ends up with a jetpack, and you fly through some caves. The game starts off with some tutorial levels where you collect some coins and perform some tasks like not taking damage, finishing it under a certain time. And as you fly, you also need to collect hovering fuel cells, avoid enemies, collect parts, repair yourself. If you aren't careful, you'll explode by flying into the walls for too long. It's a little bit of a challenge to get used to at first. Then when you get further, you get a dash. You can avoid timed lasers and other obstacles. And every 20 levels or so, you get a little boss battle. You need to do a certain amount of stars to progress. So it's good to go back and perfect your skills by replaying levels to get the different level challenges, like collecting all the coins, not taking damage, doing the level in record time. And as you go through the game, you can upgrade your jetpack's fuel, speed, acceleration, and handling. And there are 2 different difficulties, which is important to note. You have a casual mode and a challenge mode. And essentially, casual is less accurate jetpack physics. It's more forgiving. You have like silver stars instead of gold stars in the challenge mode. You have like 2 different buttons to control your jetpack, whereas you have like 1 button in casual. Challenge mode is the way that the game is intended to be played. The physics are, much more accurate, and the game is unforgiving in comparison, but you get gold stars. That's the way they want you to play. I didn't have fun in challenge mode. I had fun in casual mode.
Same.
Yeah. You also have the option to invert the x-axis in the options, just as a note. But yeah, story-wise, you have Albert Einstein, a.k.a. Professor Dr. Jetpack. He's telling you what to do. But perhaps we aren't the person he thinks we are. And, being we're just, some circus performer who's fallen into this cave and now is sucked into this whole scenario where we need to go save the Earth by getting to the core and prevent the world's imminent demise. And you get these little interludes from the Einstein hologram where you learn that maybe this is like an alternate timeline and there's some great war that hasn't happened yet. And Einstein maybe traveled back through time, meaning he came from the future, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but whatever. It was a fun way to kind of break up the levels and create a kooky story. I think at some point the doctor, professor, whatever, Einstein is he's going on about how he created all the obstacles you're going through as a safeguard, but now you find out that the internet has taken over and has like mutated things, which is why we're running into all these traps. It was very cute. But yeah, I had a pretty good time with this, despite my fear about the jetpack physics. That is surprisingly hard to say. I've stumbled over it like 3 times now. I definitely struggled with the challenge mode. I enjoyed casual mode much better. There are 4 areas to explore with more than 80 levels to conquer. I felt like this was well put together. I enjoyed the comedy and the gameplay.
Yeah, I like this one. I thought it was really cute. As soon as I wrecked 4 times and it was like, do you want casual mode? And I hit yes, I was like, okay, this game is saved. Because if I had to only play on the standard base physics, I would have checked out like 2 levels in.
Yeah.
Well, it clocks in at $10. What do you think of Professor Dr. Jetpack?
Yeah, the price is good. I had a lot more fun with it than I thought I would. Again, given the jetpack physics. There, I said it right. Was something that I thought was going to be a barrier to me. I definitely want to go back and play more with challenge mode physics and see if I can get better at them. But I was just having fun going through the story. I enjoyed the bosses, were fun. And I'd say buy it.
Cool. Works for me.
I'm watching the trailer right now, and this looks insane.
It's pretty bonkers.
Yeah, why would you have a challenge mode? This is crazy looking already.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions about it that we can answer?
No, I'm just surprised you made it through a level, let alone a bunch of levels.
Casual is really approachable.
Yeah, it really is.
I would assume so. Yeah, I mean, like, watch the trailer. Like, has him bouncing around all over the place and like barely making it over a pile of boxes, just to explode. So hopefully things are a little more intuitive and easy in the other modes.
Yeah. In casual mode, it's definitely a lot easier.
It looks cool though. I like it.
Cool. Well, next up, we got a game called Fountains, developed and published by John Pywell, released December 20th on Steam for $15.99. Master high-skilled combat to uncover the secrets of an ancient, interconnected world. Andy, what is Fountains?
So, just a little intro. You guys know I'm a big fan of Souls-like games as of the last couple of years, and I've always kind of leaned heavily into the more retro world of gameplay and design. So, of course, when I saw this one, which features both beautifully crafted pixel art world and brutal combat, this looked right up my alley. So, let me tell you about it. So, in Fountains, you play as a hooded stranger. You start off thrown into the dungeon. This is Sparta style. And then you're equipped with a dull steel sword and chainmail body armor, where you'll fight your way out of the dungeon and into the labyrinthian world. In my opinion, this game kind of takes a similar approach and style to the Dark Souls series of games, where the entire world is the dungeon and it loops back in on itself. Everything about this blends the Souls-like and the world of, say, a Metroidvania with the lock-and key style mechanics into the game. So it features items and abilities such as like a dash attack or a hook shot that unlock new areas that were inaccessible before. Story-wise, Fountain talks a lot about the usurper and the ageless, and the story leans heavily into the legend of the Fountain of Youth and the powers and corruption that come with eternal life. So I don't want to spoil too much of the storyline, but its narrative does lead to some interesting narratives from non-combatant and boss-type enemies. In Fountains, you're going to get the same kind of brutal combat you would know from a typical Souls-likes. Aside from enemies like spiders and flies, there really isn't an easy enemy. And I honestly had to remind myself more than once that buying a new controller because I had smashed the old one wasn't a worthy investment. I mean, honestly, I tip my beanie to the well-designed battles, the list of tight combat and punishing boss encounters. I mean, I've had trouble in games with bosses before, or even just regular enemies, but this one, I felt like it took it up a notch. I mean, I don't know if you're super familiar with Dark Souls, but the first area you get to, you get a boss and you kind of cheese him out a little bit, and then you take a giant bird into the kind of main world. If you know, yeah. But if you don't know, then I just told you. But you got kind of a couple paths you can go by, and one path leads to like these skeletons that just wreck you, and the other path leads to these kind of like zombie-ish guys, soldiers that wreck you, but not as hard as the skeletons do. And that's pretty much like how the game was. It's like, do you want to fight this guy and die, or do you want to go over here and fight this guy and die? So there's not exactly a leveling system like in the game too. So overall, it really emphasizes the get good mindset, which you have to get good fast. I know I always like to read reviews of from other people like on Steam and stuff, for games that I'm checking out, and a lot of it was just like, this game is too hard. I wish the game wasn't so hard. I was like, yeah, I get it, but I got to the end of this one. It was totally worth it. In the game, you'll uncover secrets. You'll brew potions out of human skulls. You'll purchase and discover new weapons and armor sets with varying degrees of damage, defense, and magic resistance. Your stats in the game simplify to stamina and health. Health, which can be upgraded by finding 4 hidden red orbs, and you can do that a couple of times throughout the game, and it gives you a little bit of boost to your maximum health. Your stamina doesn't really upgrade at all. There is a character in the game that will increase your stamina slightly and 2 other things in your, like, 1 thing in your inventory and 1 thing in your like magic reserve that I'm about to talk about. And so in the game you have this magic reserve type thing in the form of water, which goes with the overall theme of fountains. So water is obtained by fighting enemies. It's also purchased at fountains, which fountains are like the game's equivalent to like a bonfire in a Souls-like. It also acts as both, the water does, as a means for recovery and fuel for magical attacks. So you have kind of a gauge, and so you really need to pay attention and like choose whether or not you want to heal yourself or use a magic attack. But as mentioned before, you have all these kinds of potions and you have items like through your inventory, which they do a really good job of as well, of incorporating like health. They're like health biscuits and items that increase your attack for a very short amount of time. The human skull potions fill up your water like 2 bars or so. And then different armor sets, as mentioned before, will increase your overall water level and stuff like that too. So there's also a speed run mode for if you're looking for that like extra challenge, on top of everything, because everything does kind of loop in on itself. I think I have about 10 hours into this game and I'm on the final boss, but I can see how you could go through it much faster. But this one, before you ask the question, I mean, I already recommend it. I love Souls-like games, mostly like the Dark Souls has been like high on the list, and Metroidvanias are huge as well. But I'll probably be buying this one for a couple of friends that will both hate me and love me for it.
Oh, you're a dick. It's $16. What do you think?
I think it's well worth it, and the fact that it's made pretty much by one dude. I would love to have this guy on to talk about how he went about this. I mean, the art style is really nicely done. Like I thought of do you know like Wizard of Legend, like the original Wizard of Legend game?
Mm-hmm.
It really
you cut out again.
Beep, beep.
Oh,
there you go. Welcome back.
Sorry, my internet's being weird. I'm sorry.
My internet's being weird.
Curse you. But yeah, I mean, like I'd be like, do you guys know Wizard of Legend? I was like, it's like Wizard of Legend and like Elden Ring had a baby, and I mean, that's the best way to describe it. Other people were like, yeah, I can see that. So I definitely get it. $16 is well worth it.
Very cool. All right. Well, Andy, that is it for you. We will let you get going so you can get to your family and skedaddle. Do you have any final thoughts, final words?
I want everybody that listens to the podcast to go to MAGFest next year so that we can all hang out and take a picture together or hug each other. That'd be really cool.
Cool.
I have a question before you head out.
Yeah.
Did you play the first Berserker Kazam? The demo?
I have not yet, but it's in my library. I was waiting to actually stream it. Have you played it?
Oh yes, I fucking loved it. I can't wait for that game to come out. It was so good. I just figured I'd ask since I'm a fellow Souls player lover. So,
well, if I was going to compare it to other games that are already out, I would probably say it leans towards like Lies of P and Sekiro, because
very much so.
It's built more around like the perfect parry type system as opposed to iframe dodging, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it's easier like Lies of P was.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I thought Lies of P was pretty difficult. That
I haven't finished it yet, but the only fight I had trouble with so far is the 3 bunny siblings, and that's because there's 3 of them or 4 of them fighting all at once, and it's some bullshit. Granted, I haven't played since they patched to make that easier. So
I'm actually surprised to learn you're a big Souls fan, that person.
Which one of us are you surprised about that?
Yeah, because of the Ninja Gaiden review comments you made. I know there are different types of difficulty, but still.
Well, Ninja Gaiden isn't so much a Souls-like game. It's the devs want to see people cry tears of blood game, and that's not fun.
I think Ninja Gaiden can be that to the wrong crowd too, because that game can be brutal. Like
I
I feel like they both.
There's a difference between like a very, very tough and challenging game and a game that people want to beat because the game basically tells you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see that, but I mean, at least with Ninja Gaiden 1, I absolutely thought the game was telling me to go fuck myself because it was kicking the crap out of me. And then when I got the flying swallow slash, I thought I hit the jackpot because suddenly I was pulling off some shady stuff. And I got to Alma, as a lot of people know, and Alma sent me back. But what I'm making is that I think it mainly depends on the player, but I feel like both types of games can have the exact same effect of this game is built to put a wall up on this type of skill-based gameplay, and either you meet the challenge or you give it up.
Yeah,
I think the difference between the two
on Ninja Gaiden is higher.
I think the difference between the two is Ninja Gaiden is focused on offense, where Souls games are focused on defense and parrying.
Yeah,
that I can definitely see.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah. If you gave me the ability to deflect attacks and do an insta-kill in Ninja Gaiden, maybe I would be more likely to play it. Because otherwise it's, attack, and don't get hit because you'll die a miserable death and have to redo all this all over again. That's
okay. This is a topic for another show. We're approaching hour 3, so we're going to let Andy go.
I was going to say, I feel like no, I just want to say I feel like that's like this Fountains game, very much takes that approach too. I mean, like, you have so little health in the game. I mean, I think one of my armors I had like 120 health, and a boss does like 60 damage per hit. So you get like 2 hits, maybe 3 hits. Really drives that, like, ouch. Be aware of everything that's going on too. It's pretty brutal, painful. But I mean, I loved every second of it. So aside from almost smashing a controller, but yeah, Kazan though, I'm hoping to play that at least this weekend or so. So I'll let you know how it is or what I think of it since you've already played it.
Nice,
cool. Well, tune in next week and we'll talk about that. Anyway, Andy, have yourself a good night, and we will catch you next week.
Peace.
Next game, Montezuma's Revenge, developed by Mission Critical Studios and handcrafted mythical games, published by eastasiasoft, released January 16th on Steam for $19.99. An unfinished 80s classic returns, now complete and fully evolved in 2.5D style. Explore 100 tricky chambers, dodge traps, and try to escape with your treasures and your life. Pernell, what is Montezuma's Revenge?
So Montezuma's Revenge is a 1984 game, to my understanding, that got a remake. Did I play it back in 1984? Probably. Do I remember it? No, because I was freaking young at the time. Leave me alone. But this is a remake of that game, and they decided to try to sort of, I guess, want to sort of modernize it for the modern day. But I feel like, well, I'll get to that. So the way this game works is that you are starting out at the top of a temple, and your goal is to traverse a series of single screen rooms that form a maze to reach the bottom of this maze. Think of it like an upside down pyramid, but you're trying to reach the bottom to ultimately fight the boss and, escape with sweet loot. Though apparently there's actually 10 levels of this, so I did not get through all 10 levels. Leave me alone. But the idea behind this is that when you go in, it's a static level, by the way. They're all static levels. This is not a roguelike or Metroidvania or any nonsense. This is literally just a static level layout where you're trying to go from room to room, avoiding traps and enemies by way of leaping over them or outrunning them. And you need to access different rooms by way of finding various keys that will unlock doors of matching colors. So, blue key unlocks blue door, et cetera, et cetera. And as you acquire items such as gems or swords or anything, everything's worth points because this was based off, again, a classic remake of a game, which back then every game had points in it because you were always going for a high score. So this game is no different. Every enemy you kill, every item you get is worth points, and every use of an item is also worth points. But you don't have a default attack method to start. Instead, what happens is while you're running around the levels, when you come across enemies, you need to avoid them. But if you find one of the sword items in the game, it allows you the ability to kill one enemy by running into it. So no whip swings here, Indy. It's purely, collision and damage. You have the keys, you have the swords, you have items that let you get temporary invincibility, and just other different things you can come across as you explore the temple, in a sense. You have a maximum of 5 items you can hold at a time, though, so don't be surprised if you find yourself having to waste a sword to pick up a key. That's just the way it is. But the levels themselves, each individual, there's some pretty interesting bits here, like you're sliding down poles, you're running along conveyor belts, you have to swim in the water to pull a cork to drain water before you drown. There's some pretty cool little bits here. The only thing that makes me kind of sad in particular is that they took a game from 1984, said, we're going to modernize this. And they did a few things that are perfectly fine. Like they said, hey, we're going to give you another protagonist. You can choose between either the main character or Rosita, who I believe they said is his daughter. I read somewhere on the Steam wiki. You can also, you look at it's like a little special message from the creator of the game, or just kind of details the history a little bit, I guess, or like maybe it's a developer. They call it a special message. So I'm just assuming it's from him. And like a little bit of information where if you need to boot the game, it gives you the instructions on how the game works. So if you need like a end game manual, they actually provide you with that. The original game with some tweaks is actually in the game too. At least it was for me. But all these things, the graphical overhauls, the slight level changes, all those things, the thing they should have fixed, because it pisses me off so much, is dying from falling from nothing. Like, for example, early in the first level, there is a room that is flooded, and it steps down into the bottom of the thing. So it's like just step. And then there's a bottom where you can pull the cork and drain the water. But of course, when there's water, you can swim down there. Go down there, drain the water. After that, you get the key from the pit on the right. But now you can't get back unless either A, you have a sword to kill a monster on the platform, or go around the bottom. Not a big deal, right? Except for the fact that if you push over a little too hard, you'll actually fall down more than one step at a time, and you'll die and lose a life. Something that I feel doesn't really add to the challenge of the game. It's just kind of dumb. Like, come on, guys. You did all these things to make the game a little different, made all these updates. Just remove the fall damage. It's not going to hurt the game. And if you're concerned about actual... Huh?
Said it's like the NES game Splunker.
Yes, and if you remember my review of Spelunker Party way back in like 2019, God, remember those days? I liked Spelunker Party, but good God, I hated the death falls. It hurt so much. And this game is no different for that. It's not a thing that would make me say this game isn't worth giving a try, but it is a thing that adds a heavy caveat. I know there are a lot of folks out there that don't have the kind of patience I do for games that have like such stupid deaths in them. But with that said, I hate to say it, but I actually, well, depends on how you look at it, but I actually didn't mind the game itself. I guess you kind of recommended it for a specific reason, and I think you weren't wrong with that, because it hits some La Mulana vibes for me of just exploring tombs and finding the optimal route and getting the keys. Obviously, it's not nearly as convoluted or complex as that game, but
no.
Again, it's 1984, and it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. But it did touch on that love of games that I've got. And when I would die, I would say, I'll try again. Let me see if I can get better at it this time, et cetera, et cetera. Even though I'm doing the same rooms over and over again until I get further, that's the classic vibe we had. NES kids stand up. So I honestly do feel like this game is worth a go. It is notably old. Like, it's not the modern update that it could have been.
Yeah.
But if you like classic style platform adventure games, more so for the puzzliness of just getting through the temple, like Super Pitfall People and stuff like that, I do believe this game still is worth giving a try. It's not going to blow your socks off or anything. But I will also say one thing I think is cool about it. I do feel like the get the keys, access the rooms, yada, yada. I do feel like it's a game that could stand to be get more recognition because I think it did some things earlier than we thought they did. The interconnected room mazes and stuff like that. We like the AAA games like Metroid for that, and then games that came after Metroid. But this was clearly before Metroid, and I didn't even know it existed. Like, at least in my current state. Like I said, I may have played it as a kid. I just don't freaking remember. It's not pole position. Get off my back. But I think the game is fun. And even with the things I don't like about it, I still was perfectly fine. I said, I'll give this another try. See if I can get a little bit further down. So I can get a little bit further down. Now, the score, I'm not going to dabble in too much unless I'm going for extra lives, because you do get extra lives for getting enough points. So take that for what you will.
Well, let's talk about price on this one. The game clocks in at $20, or they also have a deluxe edition, which includes what you mentioned before, the retro director's cut version of the original. So you have to pick up the deluxe edition to get that version. That clocks in at $30. The base game is $20. What are your thoughts on everything?
I'm going to give it a try because, as we all know, if you don't like the price, sales always happen, so don't sweat that. But as a game in and of itself, I do believe it's worth a try. I think it is a game that, if you give an opportunity, it might invoke the one more try and instinct in you, despite the jankiness of the falls and the very, very much like pixel perfect jumps over enemies and such.
Cool. All right, next up, Don't Let Him In, developed and published by Dolores Entertainment, released December 12th on Xbox One, Series X and S for $9.99. In this psychological horror experience, you'll join 3 friends who are excited to see their favorite band, only to encounter a hitchhiker on a desolate highway. As the miles pass by, the hitchhiker's unsettling presence becomes sinister, and their true identity is shrouded in darkness. Will you be able to make it to the end of the road and survive? Bri, tell us about Don't Let Him In.
So this game has low poly graphics, which is really popular in indie horror right now, maybe because we have so many classic titles from that era to remember fondly. The story also takes place in the late 90s, early 2000s, judging by some of the tech and conversation. It is a fairly short title with a decent amount of reading. I would loosely put this in the survival horror category. If it weren't for the fact that you can technically die, I would just call this a horror adventure. The story is that we've picked up a hitchhiker on our way to a concert. These 3 young guys versus 1 older guy. Nothing could possibly go wrong, right?
Oh, no. Nothing.
No, nothing. But something is wrong. We somehow are driving in circles. The hitchhiker starts acting weird, and then he kills himself in the car with a gun he was hiding somewhere, and it's a mess. We stop to look for help, but there are spooky things going on, which is where the game starts having a sanity bar. And you'll need to mind that by finding medication that is just randomly left out everywhere, conveniently. There's a mysterious storm coming, and we must stop to get the dead body out of the car, but then the car won't start. And it's just one bad situation after another wrapped in an enigma, where the protagonists are trapped in some kind of lost highway in the mouth of madness or something. We finally find the police, get some very interesting backstory on one of our main characters, and get a big plot twist. But I don't want to ruin the story. It all boils down to whether or not we can solve the mystery and get out of the loop or not. There were some weird visual glitches, like a head and a car that were just bright pink. Like they never had their textures mapped over them and they were just placeholders, which was a little bit distracting. You still got all the dialogue and everything fine. It was just like, oh, this one police officer is just like, has no head. It's just a pink blob.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was a little weird. But overall, it was an interesting enough mystery about a cursed bit of road in the middle of nowhere. And I had a decent time with it.
Well, it's you said it wasn't a long one, right?
Yeah, it's pretty short.
Well, it's only $10.
How
Do you think
long?
it's worth it?
I would say I'm going to put this one on to try it or wait for a sale.
How long is it?
I would say if you are just speeding through the dialogue super fast, you can do it in under an hour. I was reading everything, and let's see, what did I actually take? Don't let him in. I'll tell you exactly how long I played it for. I played an hour and 10 minutes.
Wow.
Did you
There you go.
100% it in that time?
I did.
Oh, wow. Okay, that is a very short game.
It seems like a little on the pricier side for what it is.
Yeah. But it was a decent story, it was interesting. It had some good little horror moments to it. Nothing like too shocking, but it was and then, the dialogue was all right. It was kind of middle of the road for me.
All right. Well, we've got one final game to talk about tonight. That's called Dance of Cards, developed by Good Morning Mr. Frog, published by Pineapple Works, released January 23rd on Xbox One, Series X and S, and Switch for $9.99. 16 passengers aboard the ocean liner Magnific. That's a weird one. Who set sail to the shores of the New World, become trapped in a cruel and deadly game of cards. With no option to escape, they're forced to accept the rules, put their lives at stake for a fleeting hope of salvation. During the 7 days, players will face each other at poker table to decide whose life will be taken next. Cheat, bluff, and build trust with others to survive until the end of the cruise. Don't forget that everything is up to chance. Pernell and Aki, both of you played this. Aki, how about you start off? What is Dance of Cards?
Okay, in this, you play as a young man who is a magician, and with his sister as his assistant, and they work for a fat sack of shit who basically takes all of their money and gives them a pittance. And yeah, you're kind of sort of mildly a little extremely addicted to gambling. To such a point that you're told, hey, yeah, your boss gave away your ticket to get to the New World where y'all are going to be doing this stuff again, to his dog, because he knew you were going to go gambling and you could go gamble and make enough money to buy a new ticket. Have fun. And then you go get to the gambling hall, and then you save scum your way up to a lot of money. At least if you're me, that's what you do.
Pernell, did you save scum or did you do it legit?
Oh, heavens no. This is, Aki will likely mention it when she talks further, but this isn't that Bellotro poker or like Poker Junior. This game is real poker.
Yeah, this is legitimate poker, and it does rely on luck. And the first area, I actually like the very first area you go into the most, because it's not just poker. It's an entire gambling hall. You have slot machines, you have a game of poker, which actually moves you to the next area, period. And then you also have the roulette wheel, which is where I made all of my money, because that is the easiest thing to save scum. And I made a ton of money. But yeah, in this, you play real poker, including raising bets, people folding, so on and so forth. However, everyone also has their own sneaky little things they can do. You have the ability to switcheroo. You take one of your cards, whichever one you choose, and you switch it with one of the enemy's cards. Whichever one, again, you choose. You don't know what they have unless they've started freaking out. And yeah, there are 4 types of players that you can go against. And some of them, I think it's aggressive and not aggressive, and like scared or not scared or something like that is really what they amount down to. And basically, each one of them doing certain actions raises their stress level. And once their stress level has reached enough, they go into panic mode. And once they're in panic mode, certain things they do really screw them up. For instance, when I think it's either checking or raising, one or the other makes them lose like 100 coins, 100 of their betting money when they're panicked. For calling, I think it is calling or checking, something like that, they accidentally flip over one of their cards, so you get to see one of the cards they have, and things like that. But based on what kind of player they are determines what causes them to get stressed in the first place. So you have to keep that stuff in mind. And I found that it's really hard to keep that in mind because usually you're playing against a bunch of people who are a mix of these things. So I kind of just ignored it because it was a pain in the ass. And yeah, then you play poker. And when I say save scum, I don't mean, you can see how it's going to play out and you can just go back and then make the right choices. No, all the cards are randomized every game. So you're not going to be in the same hand each time, which is cool. It also kind of really sucks because it means you can't find the optimal way of getting through it. And once you win, you get experience, which levels you up and eventually unlocks new abilities that you can get, and it gives you more talent points, is what they're called, which allow you to use your abilities more often. However, you only get 4 rounds before someone is kicked out of the table. So whoever has the lowest amount of money by the end of 4 rounds automatically gets kicked out. Hopefully you can take all their money and force them out before that happens. But, life is life. The problem with this concept comes in later on when you get more people than just yourself playing. Because you end up getting to where you can choose to play on your own, you can choose to play with 2 players, or you can choose to play with 4 players. And when I'm saying players, I don't mean like you and other people get to play this game. I mean you have 4 players that you're controlling. The problem is, if one of them gets kicked out of the game because they don't have enough money or they lose all their money, if you win, they don't get any experience. If they don't play, they also don't experience. They have to be in it and win without getting kicked out in order to get experience. And that really kind of blows because it means if you want them all to level up, you need to bring them all into every game. And you have to make sure that all of them are winning enough money that they aren't getting kicked out. And it's very hard to do. Pernell, I'll let you take over.
So, when I mentioned earlier about the aforementioned real poker, full context, I always thought I had played poker in different scenarios in my life, but I didn't even learn the real rules of poker until like 2 weeks ago, playing the game The Gang, the tabletop game The Gang, which actually also uses real poker. And I was also playing that game of poker with a friend whose main job is to do tables at casinos. So he was doing all the spiel, pre-flops, and, I always knew about raising and calling, but he was doing the pre-flop, the different tiers of betas, the community cards. Like, what the hell is all this? But this game is that poker. And while the game does attempt to give you a general understanding of what that is, if it doesn't click with you, well, you're going to be on the internet learning about what poker is, because it is the main mechanic of the game. It is literal life and death. So, better figure it out. With that said, though, it is an engaging game of poker. So much so that even though the game does give you the various abilities and ways to tweak the opponent's stress levels and to kind of shady your way through some of the matches, there were moments where I was more engaged with just playing poker than trying to cheat. I'm like, oh, come on, okay, I got these. I can at least get a 2-pair. That shouldn't be a bad hand or whatever, and just going with that. I like the fact that there is elements of teamwork there where when you get like when Aki mentioned like having multiple players at the table, some of the individual characters' talent traits are specifically meant to help other people at the table. So you can strategize a way to say, for example, I don't know, I'm just throwing this out there. You could have a character who does not do well with calls, like he's not an aggressive player or whatever, but then have another player who has an ability to reduce your stress for that purpose. So you're like, okay, well, in this game, I want to be able to use my abilities to screw with other people in this condition, but I also know that my character is bad at using these sorts of things. So by using my partner plus this, I can actually specialize in both aspects of the poker game and see how I fare that way. So there's levels of strategizing you can do there. And also form just aspects like getting a better idea of what players work the best together to form a decent poker synergy. But you will, unless you're a freaking beast at poker, you're going to lose a fair bit. Hell, again, just like I mentioned in Ninja Gaiden, it is very possible to lose the very first poker match of the game. Well, the non-demo one, but not demo, but the non-tutorial one. But you can very much lose the first poker match in the game and be shocked by it because you're always playing poker. It's not like I'm playing a level 1 poker guy. No, you're playing poker. So just accept it. And if there is something going on in the background that raises the difficulty of a player you're playing against, well, that's news to me.
There's no difficulty increases.
With that said, though, I do think this game has a very awesome premise. It's literally RPG poker. You got equipment that'll enhance your stats in the poker game that you can equip to your character. You have poker abilities. You have poker stats. And it's there's even like poker social links. Like it's very poker. It's very much a game of this type that I bring this up a lot when I talk about games on this show, but someone who took things that already exist and combined them together and said, I don't think anyone's ever done this before. And you feel like that's hard or impossible to do now, but here you are with this freaking poker RPG. I've never heard or played a game like this before this one. So I think it stands out for that reason alone. And they did a good job with it. And for those of you who don't realize this, I'll be amazed by that. Death games are in right now. Squid Game, Danganronpa, and the freaking Virtue's Last Reward series, all that. And this game taps into that too. So if you're looking for another game where you got to worry about keeping yourself alive and hoping to keep your favorite characters from dying, well, I think you might have found it.
Cool. Well, this one clocks in at $10. What do you two think of Dance of Cards?
I'd say it's a buy. Just know that. Oh, thank you. I am really sorry. I'm a rude bastard. I apologize.
How dare you?
I would say going in knowing that you're going to be learning real poker and you need to accept that. I think this game is worth a solid buy. I think it is worth your time. I think it is worth a try. And I do feel like even if you don't know how to play poker, if you give this an opportunity, you might come away being able to have poker night with your buddies. You might be out there buying pirate poker chips for next week. You never know. It's go time.
Crash Rando says the soundtrack is pretty cool too, with the band always playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go.
Not bad,
Plus,
not bad at all.
great.
Aki, your thoughts?
I'm totally for it. I think it's a very hard game if you're trying to level everyone up properly, like the game kind of wants you to do. But if you're just like, I'm going to be the sole survivor and I don't really care about anyone else, then you can play as just your character through all of these as just one against the world and still win. And that's not as hard. So I am very for this. No matter what style of play you want to do, you're probably going to find something in this game for that.
But don't kill off your friends, potential friends. You gotta try for the people, for the people.
Maybe. We'll see.
All right. Well, we made it through this one. We are done. Only creeping in on 3.5 hours. Nothing big. Thanks to everyone Thanks to everyone for coming and hanging out tonight. Thanks to all you for being here the whole time, sticking around. Thanks to Grant and Scott and Andy for coming on, chatting about MAGFest and Andy doing his games. Ian, thanks for coming on, chatting about MAGFest and just farting around all night. Music this episode. We're going to have fun. We're going to play that beat drop song I mentioned. We mentioned Splunker, so I'm going to play something from Splunk. We have Nord's entire 2.5-minute intro. What other dumb shit can we throw in at the end?
A hot plate.
How are we going to...
Nice piping hot snack.
How are we going to put a hot plate on the show?
I don't know. You're the
Bacon.
director. You figure it out.
Can you sizzle some bacon on it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
There you go.
I mean,
You could ASMR that shit. Hear the crackle.
all right.
See, there you go.
Late night, all night.
Guys, do you remember bacon?
What do?
Juicy bacon needs.
What
Bacon is juicy. That's twisted. Bacon should
SML
not
for
be juicy.
breakfast.
It should be crunchy.
No, there's a difference between juicy and fatty.
Yeah,
It sounds like you're
fatty
probably
bacon.
hitting on the fatty bacon, which is fully understandable. Like juicy bacon is well cooked. It has like a little bit of that caramelized crunch on the edge, but it has a nice juicy texture to it without it being raw.
Yes, and
That's
I can
the good
definitely, if
stuff.
done right, I get behind that. And also, the weirdest thing about it might not sound right, but since it's chewy, because there's a little bit more of the fat still on it, the flavor lasts longer, and the bacon itself lasts longer, which just makes it friggin' great.
I mean, not it's sort of like crispy bacon. A lot of people are like crispy bacon's gross. It's like no, you're probably talking about like overcooked, dry crispy bacon. And yes, that
I
is.
love crispy bacon.
Yeah.
I'll take
like
that.
crispy bacon.
But like when you get like the right kind of crispy bacon, like everyone
Oh, it's heavy.
automatically everyone just exactly went to that little
That perfect spot.
yeah, they know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
You give me
Oh,
that
yeah.
crunch all day, every
What you
day,
need for a
yo.
good BLT.
Mm-hmm.
Damn straight.
Yes, yeah.
Joe's just glaring at us like, shut up.
This show's never going to end. Hey, Big Adam, why don't you give us some final words to end the show?
Nut goes in the butt. That nut goes in the butt.
Hi, yo.
That was good. I like that.
Splunk. Splunk. He's splunking. Come on now. Splunk. Splunk. Yeah, that's right. Splunk. Splunk, 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 splunk. Yeah, that's how you do it. Splunk. Splunk. Yeah. Splunk. 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 Shorty, it's your birthday. Splunk. 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 Splunk.
This is the SML Podcast 12th Anniversary episode. Since our normal voiceover guy managed to catch pneumonia and hasn't he been able to do any recordings because he sounds like Peter Falk trying to gargle rocks, I, the esteemed Commodore Amiga 500, will be taking his place as only I can. For those who may not know, the customary gifts of a 12th anniversary are silk and linen. Which I think means that at this point, it's about time we reenacted a couple of choice scenes from Basic Instinct. You know, that movie with Sharon Stone. She uses all that silk and linen during a variety of romping and frolicking scenery. Romantic interludes with silks and headboards. And, well, I guess ice sticks. For the record, ice sticks are most certainly not customary gifts for a 12th anniversary. You have to wait until the 17th anniversary for that. Thus begins the final year of the SML podcast's teenage phase. It won't be long now before the angst really sets in and the podcast refuses to even speak to you for daring to suggest that maybe they should brush their teeth more than once a month. Or actually sure, being rained on does not count. And then when bits of hair start to formulate on the podcast's nether regions, that's when it all goes out the window. Extra laundry time. But that can all wait until next year. Just think. Our little podcast is going to be old enough for a learner's permit soon. Because the horrors of prepubescent emotional roller coasters aren't terrifying enough as it is. Thanks for hanging with us all these years. And maybe send that loser slacker rock guzzler Neil a get well card or something. He hasn't been able to talk barely at all for over a month now. Actually, you should probably send a condolences card to his wife because at some point he will start back up with the diarrhea of the mouth and that poor woman has already suffered enough. And now, on with the fucking shit show. Cue the intro music.